Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, it is MCU Sunday again, and I have the Hat Crew reunited. We are going to have one latecomer, but that is expected. CS let us know in advance. And with us, we got Raya Kitty. How you doing? She stepped away. How you doing, Ambassador?
I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did have to step away for a second.
It's okay.
Okay. Hello.
How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good. I got back from vacation. Beautiful weather. So.
All right, Ambassador, how you doing?
I am doing very, very well. Been a good day. Went to see Across the Spider-Verse this afternoon with a couple of buddies and everything, and holy freaking cow! What a ride! What a great
it's an acid trip.
movie! It was a. Oh, it's not just an acid trip. It is a great freaking movie. Great animation. Great story. Great voice acting. Just could not have had a better time. And now I'm here tonight, and we're talking Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So it's a good day for me. So
yeah. And Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like Ambassador, I discovered a new series. I've been watching Beef on Netflix, which is a dark comedy, not for the kids, but it is a hysterical show. I'm loving it a great deal. About two feuding people after a road rage incident. I'm enjoying it a great deal.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. I did go see Rise of the Beast yesterday with my little cousin, so that was a good movie. You know, I don't think it was no Shia LaBeouf, but it was still a good movie. I had some issues with it, so.
Nope, sorry. Transformers is dead to me. It died after Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, I mean, they could try, or Unicron, I would love to see Unicron.
Well,
so I'm only going to ask. I'm only going to ask this once: does he transform?
No, he does not.
Then it's not worth seeing.
No,
he's a big planet thing. That's it. Okay, so it's not worth watching.
Orange. Well, go watch the end. Just go watch.
I mean, he kind of transforms, but it's more like a vision thing. Like.
No. If he doesn't transform, if there is a full body transformation on
of
screen,
Unicron,
Unicron, it does not count.
Exactly. That's my opinion on it, anyway.
And not to mention, who are they going to get to top the voice of Unicron that's better than Orson Big Balls Wells?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway,
just saying.
Yeah. So we are doing, in my opinion, outside of Phase 1, the best movie of the MCU. Because, to me, MCU's Phase 1 will always be the best, in my opinion. Because it was grounded, it was more visceral, more kind of, not dark, but realistic. They didn't hide death in it. Now, in the later phases, aside from this one, they really went to the efforts in the later phases to actually not make it so death heavy, so to speak. In this one, however, it is all bets off. But I love the opening sequence with Winter Soldier, where you see Sam Wilson jogging through DC on your left, and frickin' Steve Rogers just blazing right by him on your left. Yeah, on my left. Got it. Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
On your left. That was funny.
On your left. On your left.
Yep.
On your left.
And then,
on your left. On your left.
All right. On the second, or now, when he rounds the corner of the reflecting pool, that is a stunt double. Because what they did in that, which I thought was, or which is very obvious, is that they have Chris Evans just run off or run straight, and they already had the guy running down to make it look like he's that fast, which was pretty cool. And then we have them at the tree where he's talking with Sam, getting to know him, and talking about the war plus PTSD with the bed. Like you're going to sink right through the floor because it feels like it's a pillow. And one of the things I also like is how the list, which Steve Rogers has to write down things that he should check out, is different for or wherever you watch it throughout the world. There's like 4 or 5 different lists. There's one for China, one for the Middle East, one for Europe, pretty much major countries and whatnot. So, or then we get the pickup by Widow, where she drives this insanely expensive car. And it's like, is that what you're spending your salary on, Widow? I mean, what the frig, man?
But love that car.
Yeah, what did you all think of the introduction to Sam, or who later is known as Falcon? What did you think of the opening sequence? We'll start with ladies first, right?
Oh, yeah, it was just a very amusing, kind of lighthearted opening scene with the action insanity that's about to come. So I guess it's a good juxtaposition to the rest of the movie. It kind of acted to me like, I don't know, like College Bros or something. Taking their stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, these two basically hit it off pretty well in this film.
Yep.
Is like you annoy the hell out of this guy, yet he's wants to keep talking to him because he's getting ready to walk off, but then he engages again. It's your bed, right? What's that? It's your bed. You feel like, or when I was over there, I'd sleep on a rock and use the rock as a pillow. Now that I'm back, it's like sleeping on a marshmallow. It was a very good dynamic. What do you think,
there's a train.
Ambassador?
Personally, that whole scene, it's got a nice balance of humor, and it's okay. I'm gonna say this. I say this as obviously everybody knows I'm a happily married man, but Scarlett Johansson in that scene in this whole movie, she is just, whew, just absolutely. And what she says, I'm here to pick up a fossil to take to the Smithsonian. I love that's a really great one liner. And then her and Steve are talking in the car, and she's trying to say him up with somebody. And it turns out one of the somebodies, as we find out later, is actually an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that, the list, I really, for somebody who has been, frozen and unconscious for decades on end, I cannot help it. It's been a while since I'd seen this, so I watched it last night. I saw the thing, watch Star Wars, and Trek, and I'm like, yep, you need to at least watch the original bunch, most definitely. So that's my thoughts. Jake? Oh, wrong way. Jake?
I think for me, I am really impressed with how Anthony Mackie came in. Oh, do we lose Boss Man?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just keep going, I guess.
All right. Yeah, I guess.
Let's keep going, Jake.
Yeah, I really enjoy how they introduced Anthony Mackie. He is a fantastic actor, and I really think that this particular movie showed him off. I've watched him in other films. I saw him in I.O., which is not a very good movie, but he acted well in the movie. And I think he was well casted as the Falcon. For those of you who remember, who might have grown up in the 90s like me, there was this show called Avengers United They Stand, and Falcon was one of the main characters. It was a very Power Rangers type show where the heroes would like their costumes would like form on them. And so that's where I remembered Falcon from, and that really cool aspect of him. And I really think that Anthony Mackie embodied that. That's one of the things I do love about the Russo brothers. I don't know if they casted Anthony Mackie, but I think he was the correct choice to play Falcon. And to the Scarlett Johansson point, yes,
same.
she's just a great actress in general. I love seeing her play Widow. I love seeing her show up in that expensive car and trying to set up Steve. It's really funny because they go back and forth between who is Widow going to end up with, like in sort of a romantic thing that's kind of a wavelength thing happening, and this one certainly implies Cap in some ways, which would be comic book accurate, I suppose. But yeah, I thought the first few minutes of this movie did a great job of setting it up. I was really surprised because the Russo brothers, they're mainly known for comedy, and certainly there are some comedic moments in this film, the On Your Left part being one of them, but they do a really good job of branching out into this action genre. And now they're pretty much all action. They've gone totally action at this point. So I really think that this film had something to do with that.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I had a lady crush on Scarlett Johansson for the longest time. It's just like, bro, I want to be her peak femininity, bro.
And I do have things that I actually want to bring on from my files. So let me get those open.
Okay.
Because we're now getting to the Lumerian Star. Can you guys hear me okay, or am I skipping all over?
You're clear for me.
You're crystal clear for me, bud.
All right.
Riot's eating.
Yeah.
How dare she eat on stream and not even bring enough for the rest of the class?
I gave you a virtual chip. Boop, boop.
There you go.
There you go.
Riker, however, it's okay, man. People can always catch this on the replay if they need to. I mean, I'm pretty sure earlier, and this is all I'm going to say of it on this, I'm pretty sure I pissed off a few people. Let's just say that. But moving on. So we're getting to the Lumerian Star, and we have the strike team with Rumlow, who is known in the comics as Crossbones. Yeah. And
I hate Rumlow. He is such a tool.
Yeah. And the guy that's also his second is a known bad guy in DC universe, as well as Anton Zanaev from Batman v Superman. He's the guy with the flamethrower.
One of the worst adaptions of a character ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get that out there.
I do not recall that character in Batman versus Superman. So
he was supposed to be the KG Beast. Oh my gosh, it's just anyway, I'll go on a 9-minute rant if I don't stop there. But yeah, he was supposed to be.
All right, let's go back to Marvel.
Yeah, let's get back to Marvel. So Widow's trying to set him up with a date, and he's like, "That's why I don't ask. Too busy or too scared or too what was it that she said? Too something or too scared." And then he says too busy, and just jumps out the freaking Quinjet. I love that. It's like, is he wearing a parachute? No, he wasn't. But for any other human, folks, who jumps from that height, and even going straight like this and crossing their arms like this, you're still hitting that water at terminal velocity, and it's going to be like concrete. Steve, even as a super soldier, would have broken his legs. But, movie magic. And I absolutely love how...
Superhero landing, so...
Yeah, superhero landing. There you go. So, the cinematography of the Lumerian Star is great because they actually show how quick Steve Rogers is infiltrating the ship, taking down the bad guys. I really do like that sequence because it shows how tactical he is. His suit is all blue. I'm not really a fan of the all blue suit, but I can understand how it's more tactical at night to keep it dark colored.
Yeah, like it's tactical suit, like Tony's like black and red thing suit. So
Yeah. And so we then get introduced to Batroc in this film, otherwise known as Batroc the Leaper. So let me pull up the
like Frogger.
kind of, yeah. I mean, this guy is a kicker. He uses his feet a lot. And
Yeah, he's kind of a
This
joke villain
is-
in the comics.
yeah,
Does he
this
wear
is
a giant
Batroc.
frog suit?
No, he does not wear a giant frog suit. It's a really weird suit.
Yeah. But yeah, this is him from the movie, essentially. This or the portrait here is from the Marvel Avengers Alliance game that I played.
Okay, I am curious. What does he look like in the comics?
What looked like?
Baltrick.
Sorry,
the
it
Leaper.
skipped. Or Batroc, yeah. Somebody should be able to pull up something else, because if I pull open too many tabs, I'm gonna start skipping and shit again.
Mhm.
So there's a bunch of hostages on this, and they set it up. Cap takes out a few of them, takes out a few bad guys. I like how he throws the knife into another guy's hand. I mean, this is war that they're doing. They're not going to shy away from it.
Mhm. Nope.
And then
Okay,
there's this very
is kind of
overzealous
an
Frenchman.
amusing. I'm sorry, I just have to mention this is definitely an amusing costume. He looks like he looks like he'd be
I
like
don't-
a Shakespeare
French.
superhero parody play. Or
He is
something.
he is French, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Batroc is French.
Well, in the movie, he's Algerian.
Yeah. They
But
kinda share
anyway,
the same language. They all speak French.
I do like how. I also like how Black Widow has magical bullets in this sequence when she's when she's riding the guy down, because she sticks the guns out like this, kind of pointing this way with each gun. Yet the two guys directly below her suddenly are actually shot, and it's like magic of movie making, man. Marvel has magic bullets. So let me pull that
Well,
up. so I
technically,
can
that would
switch
make
it.
sense because they do have Doctor Strange. So
Yeah. And then this
eventually,
is that's later. This is the suit that he has with a helmet on, but even his shield is all blue in the movie as well. So to
believe
give you
that-
guys an idea.
I believe that version of Captain America was during the whole Marvel Rebirth. He was actually the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Steve Rogers was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. when he
Yeah.
was wearing that costume.
Oh, cool.
And this is Steve Rogers from the game, where his helmet is off. This because they actually had the whole they actually introduced this movie arc into the game during the time before 2016 when it ended. I mean, they got all the way up to Age of Ultron, and then as well as Civil War in the game, and then they ended up canon the game. But yep, we see the fight between Batroc and Steve is pretty cool, because you see how this guy does the fancy footwork. He is a professional martial arts artist in real life, I believe. So, what was everybody's thoughts about especially the overzealous Frenchman that just wants to put a bullet in somebody's head? I mean, that guy was a little bit way overzealous, in my opinion. But what is everybody else's thoughts? We'll start with the ambassador this time.
honestly, yeah, I think Batroc deserved to get a bullet. I think he should have gotten a whole bunch of bullets because he's clearly not well, just like Rumlow is definitely not well. And, Batroc is a minor character in the MCU. He's more of what you would call your street level villain, not very high tier. I mean, honestly, except for maybe Winter Soldier, all the henchmen or villains are street level characters. They're not like the big names or anything. Even Alexander Pierce played, just in my opinion, perfectly by Robert Redford. He's intimidating, but for an entirely different reason, because he doesn't necessarily do his own killing. He often does it by proxy, except for a few instances that we see in the movie at the end.
He outright slaughters his housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, Riot, what did you think of Lemurian Star sequence with Batroc saving the hostages, Widow getting yelled at by Steve?
It was kind of like, I don't know, like almost like a dramatic, like dramatic with this tiny scenes of like one-liners and stuff like that. Like this whole movie's chemistry is just interesting. Like I don't think there's a lot of it in the MCU in general, even with like the more comedic stuff later. But yeah, it just sounds like general soldier banter, if that makes any sense. And I definitely like that.
Oh yeah.
All right, and Jacob.
I thought the fight scene between Captain America and Batroc was very well choreographed. It's so funny because when I first saw it in theaters, it didn't click with me that this was Batroc the Leaper, because like I said, he's kind of a joke villain in the comics. He just kind of shows up when they need someone to beat up, basically. And so I thought it was really cool how they sort of slipped him into this film, so all the fans can point and go, ah, ah, ah. I think at the time he had appeared in Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the animated series where Drake Bell voiced Spider-Man. So I wonder if this was some sort of, crossover thing that Disney likes to do every once in a while. I wonder if that had something to do with it. I can't remember. I want to say Ultimate Spider-Man was first. But
this is essentially the Ultimate Universe in the MCU, because it has the Black Fury.
That's true, and also, Black Fury though had been introduced into the mainstream MCU universe as Nick Fury's son, as the original Nick Fury's son. So they did combine a lot. For instance, Steve being from Brooklyn, that's definitely an Ultimate Universe thing. But yeah, I think that's really cool. But the Ultimate Spider-Man is different from the Ultimate Comics. The animated series was the first season is unwatchable, but then they hired Paul Dini to write the second, third, and fourth season, and it instantly became good because Paul Dini is a brilliant writer. But anyway, back to the film. I thought that was really cool that they threw him in. This was back when Marvel still liked their fans, so it made me feel like, it was, they just threw this in as a nod to everyone, because he's kind of a fan favorite goof up. Like I haven't seen Across the Universe yet, but so that's not but like the Spot is. It's like, oh, when the Spot gets thrown in, you're in for a little bit of a laugh. So
yeah, but just fair warning, Jake, if you do go see Across the Spider-Verse, this version of the Spot, he does have a comedic element to him. He gets at various points very dark and very heavy, which I think is actually a good touch. So that's
nice.
Another discussion for another time.
So one of the things I did like about the Widow, when Black Widow was admonished by Steve because he didn't know about her other mission, so to speak. When she's like, "Okay, that's on me," and he's like, "You're damn right." She actually admonishes herself because she feels that she did kind of screw up. She wants Steve's trust. And there is a scene later that we'll get to when we get to it, where you think that there's an absolute chance that there could be a possible romantic connection to them in this film. I'm so glad they didn't go that way, because it's like his heart always belonged to Peggy. And So we then get to the Triskelion, I believe. And Fury. Now, folks, this was when Fury was a badass with only one eye. Because he drops the line, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Someone, mind you. Not some
cat.
Some fucking flirkin. Not some motherfucking flirkin. But when he trusted someone, he lost an eye. And yes.
Yeah, they definitely changed that later on. Yeah.
I will always hold that against Marvel.
Yeah, because it was kind of stupid.
You know, there's rumors that Secret Invasion is going to retcon that.
I'd love to see how, because it's pretty much in the mainstream MCU at this point.
Yeah.
So
I got taken out by a cat.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I got scratched by an alien fucking feline.
It would be like if Will
folks.
Smith lost an eye to an alien pug dog in the minute.
Right? I mean, it's just goddamn. So he takes him down to the Insight Bay, and folks, I am going to bring this up because, believe it or not, it is extremely relevant. This movie does have a political undertone. And I'm not going to get too far into the politics, but yes, there are people in current real-life government who believes in, Project Insight, shall we say, where they actually want to impose punishment before the crime. And that is, and Steve calls it out. It's like, I thought punishment came until after the crime. Can't afford to wait that long. And he tells him, and I love how Fury actually challenges him. You know, I read those SSR files. Greatest Generation? You guys did some pretty nasty stuff. Yeah, we compromised. In some ways that didn't help us or that didn't let us sleep very well. But we did it so people could be free. This isn't freedom. This is fear. And I absolutely love how, if you notice, when the computer says, or Captain Rogers doesn't have access to doesn't have clearance for Project Insight. Believe it or not, folks, that is the main stand against, or that is the main event that kicks off Hydra accelerating their plans. The second Steve was granted access, Captain America was granted access to Project Insight, was when Hydra had to excel their plans because they knew he would be a threat to it. So, yeah. I also do like Fury's granddad, how he told him about how he ran the elevator, and he eventually got a 22 Magnum. And it's like, yeah, they're a little bit bigger than a 22. Also, the repulsors, he's like, Stark? Yeah, he gave us some input after he got an up-close and personal look at our old turbines. Shout out to the Avengers there. So what do you guys think about this back and forth between Fury, how Fury's basically sparring with Cap about policy and how they're doing things? S.H.I.E.L.D. takes the world as it is, not how we want it to be. And Cap throws it right back in his face. He's like, don't hold your breath. I'm not going to do that. We'll start with Jake on this one.
I think for me, this scene in Captain America Winter Soldier shows the shift in Captain America. So you go into the MCU and Captain America, he's a government agent. He's involved with the war. He's doing this, that, and the other. Before that, he's promoting war bonds. Well, now we have him. He's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been with the Avengers. But you see the shift where, like Iron Man 3 did with Tony, where you see the shift where Tony's like, okay, we have to be kept in check. Our power is getting out of control because other people are, starting to come for us. And then Captain America, we see this, like you said, this isn't freedom. This is fear. Yeah. And I think that is one of the most iconic moments in the MCU, especially in Phase 2, where this will eventually lead to the MCU version of the Civil War. Right, we see the shift in dynamic in the thinking of Captain America, which I think for the better. I was definitely in this conversation with Fury. I was definitely on Captain America's side. I think that it it really displayed why he is such an iconic character, even amongst all the big Marvel, like compared to Hulk or Spider-Man or Iron Man or Wolverine or Captain Marvel. This moment, and Chris Evans does it so well, just shows you why he is there, why he's important, and why he matters to the MCU as a whole. Also, welcome, CJ.
Hey, I'm only 30 minutes late.
Hello, CJ.
That's okay.
Hey,
You're
CJ,
here.
good
That's
to
what
see
matters.
you.
And you have a
Yes.
very
Yep.
funny looking avatar on.
Yep, this is Fat Girl. So,
Nice.
Yep.
yep,
So we'll get your opinion next.
yay.
The helicarrier sequence where Fury's showing Captain America Project Insight. What did you think of the argument between the two, freedom versus fear?
I think, well, first of all, I like the scene because I think Fury was like giving Cap a test on like a personal level, because I don't think like Captain America is like a very optimistic, very much a person of good faith, and I think he's willing to hear people out, and that can be kind of abused in society and by bad actors and different people. So like when Fury's telling him about his granddad and the tips and the 22 Magnum in his bag and stuff, like I feel like that was a test, and they were already going down, so it's almost like Fury was telling him, this is a test and this is why, and this is going to like set him up for what they were doing. It's easier to make people get on your side if you kind of like separate things by a story. That doesn't sound weird. And like I could tell you about, like I'm talking about this now. It's like I do the same thing with my kids. It's like, hey, did you remember to do this thing today? Or I have a story that I tell them sometimes when I get really frustrated, where it's like, hey, like you're stomping on my flowers, and they know what this means. Is whereas like I have this whole great big garden that I worked in. Like I'm not actually a gardener, so like they were like really surprised to hear the stories. But hey, I have a really nice garden out back. I've worked really hard over the years to get it to grow nice things, and you're stomping in it, and I don't want you to stomp in it. And it makes them realize it's very similar to what like the prophet Nathan does when like Nathan gets sent to go talk to King David about Bathsheba, and yeah, so this is a test. I think it's a very good exchange because Fury doesn't trust people, but I think he wants Cap on his side at the same time, and it's nice. It is kind of nice to have people that remind you, that there are good things worth fighting for, and that you can still be hopeful about a brighter future, even in the midst of present fear. So, and that fear is not the end game. So, but I like the speech, Ed.
All right. And hello to Ladonis. Good to see you.
Hey, Stefan.
So the next scene is the.
Can I talk about it?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Riot. Sorry.
Oh.
Stupid me.
It's okay. I think it definitely like the scene does a good job of presenting like two sides of the argument, and also neither side is really willing to budge. It's almost like, okay, maybe like there's like a compromise here, because both Captain America and Nick Fury have good points. You know, like this is a world where like alien spaceships went out of a wormhole and basically destroyed a lot of New York, a major metropolitan area. So yeah, they don't know when the next wave or invasion is coming, but they know it's coming. And so it's like you have to wonder. It's like, oh yeah, maybe like a big giant airship thing that can monitor this would be good. But on the same token, you know, you can understand Steve's side where it's like like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, that kind of a thing. Where it's like, is this too overreaching? Are you going to do policies or whatever that will become extremely overreaching than the intended purpose and stuff like that? So I really like that. And also, I find it kind of ironic because I'm pretty sure this was Civil War II, where I believe it was Captain Marvel's side, where it's like there's like using a mutant or something to predict crimes before they happen and then like arrest people who haven't actually done anything yet. Where it's like it's this extremely one-sided argument. So it's just kind of ironic, like the juxtaposition between these two things that are like only a few years apart. But yeah, I really like this. You know, it's just like neither side is like overly like, you know, oh, I'm the bad guy or whatever. or like I'm holier than thou or whatever. So yeah, this was a very, very good argument between the two.
It's very nuanced for the MCU.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, especially with like when it comes to the comics, it's like kind of like night and day. It's like, oh my God, there's nuance and Marvel.
So, you actually do raise a good point there. Because the thing is, as I said, there are political undertones in this movie. And as is there in Civil War. When we get to that movie, we'll cover them. Because there are people in real life who would fully agree with the true purpose of Project Insight. Taking out anybody who disagrees with you and stands in your way of getting to your, or getting in the way of your agenda, so to speak.
Yeah, most.
And believe me, yeah. But I really do like that because he tells them flat out, he's like, don't hold your breath. I'm not signing on to, or I'm not going to sign up for something like that, you know? So then we get to the Smithsonian, and I am so happy that they picked Gary Sinise for this because Gary Sinise does the Wounded Warriors Project. He helps veterans. He does bands and concerts and stuff for them. So him narrating Captain America, or the Captain America wing of the Smithsonian, and a reminder of Bucky Barnes, who's the only Howling Commando to give his life during the war, as well as a reminder of Peggy, where we then see that he kept the compass. He has the compass, not the Smithsonian. And then we see Peggy with Alzheimer's, and they used digital technology. Ambassador, you might want to mute your mic if you're going to be moaning about eating something.
Oh, well.
But yeah,
their de-aging stuff has gotten better, I think. So.
Oh, yes, it has. I mean, they actually aged her up. Not de-aged, but aged her up. And it actually looks pretty good. Now, I've known people with Alzheimer's. I had a great aunt with Alzheimer's, and her lucidity at that time, when I seen her, was completely gone. She didn't recognize anybody at that time. However, I have also seen people who were lucid and then had the reset. And the reset in this one is truly tragic because she's fully aware of who he is, but she then has that coughing fit, and she's back to just before he came out of the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is truly sad. And I love how he just goes along with it because he understands what's going on with her. And he says, I can't just leave my best girl, not when she owes me a dance.
Yeah.
So, starting with ladies first, we'll start with CG or with CS because she just got here.
Yep.
What did you
CJ's
think
fine.
of the Smithsonian and Peggy?
I thought it was a good setup for, and like it's good setup and payoff in a sense because you want to know what happened to Peggy after Steve got frozen, and so it kind of gives you like a little window into it, and it was vague enough to work where they could put in more stuff later and kind of fill it out. So I, like she can still kind of have this result and like him going back in time at the end of Endgame still kind of checks out. So it's kind of,
And this movie actually
also,
does tie into Endgame, and I'll tell you why, or tell everybody why in a little bit.
yeah, and it's also good foreshadowing for the individual movie too, where you're going to have Bucky come back as the Winter Soldier. So
yeah.
Sorry if I ruined it for you, everybody.
All right. And we'll go to Riot next.
Honestly, yeah, with those kinds of like mental conditions, right? It's like my friend's mom who has dementia, and it's gonna get worse, and it's not gonna get better. So it definitely is kind of heartbreaking there, but he does keep his calm and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't blame him if he just went out in the hallway and cried, right?
Chances are he probably did afterward.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it's just like I remember like a reviewer, I don't remember who it was, but like he said it's like we knew he was coming back, but she didn't, and because and it's like seeing her like this and then reverting back to that state where after like he like disappeared into the ice, it's just like that probably killed Steve on the inside, and it's just like I get that, and I like her very wise words too. It's just like we got to play with our, basically summarized, and like we got to play with the cards we're dealt. Sometimes just start over, do something different, that kind of a thing. So.
Ambassador.
It's not easy to see someone that you love or someone that you care for come down with an incurable illness like Alzheimer's, because unfortunately, even now, Alzheimer's is a disease we have no cure for. We have treatments, we have therapies, and everything, but there is no cure. And as you mentioned, this movie is very much grounded in reality in a very profound way. I was watching it last night, I couldn't remember if this was the one where she'd passed or if it was, and I remembered it was actually Civil Wars where Peggy dies off screen, and you see the sadness on Steve's face when she snaps back and she's forgotten that everything that she just said to him, and you realize, oh crap, she's got Alzheimer's. Somebody who was a master spy, someone who was in the military during World War II, someone that was a founding member of SHIELD, all of that, and she is just as susceptible to disease and age as anyone else. And for
There is
Steve,
a
who's
study
someone
that
who's out
suggests. Sorry, there is a study that suggests that your most active minds, or a person with thousands of memories and whatnot, they are often the ones that have the highest probability of contracting Alzheimer's, even if it's not hereditary.
Hmm.
Well,
And
the sad
considering
truth is that that in all your life you don't even remember half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell you what I did yesterday.
Anything else, Ambassador?
No, I think it's good for now.
All right, and Jacob.
It's a very moving scene. It's sad to watch, but I loved how this film, brought it back, right? Because we didn't know what happened to Peggy. She wasn't mentioned in the Avengers, or so we didn't know. And I thought that this was it was very tragic, but very touching how they brought Steve's relationship with Peggy home. And I think that sorry, I got distracted by one of the comments.
Yeah, that one.
but yeah, I think it's a very I think they did a good job with it. I've seen this the way this is done in several different films. I remember in the 80s, Captain America, her name wasn't Peggy, but the character had passed away, and that one Bucky had actually become Captain America for a while. In the 90s one, which no one should ever watch ever. I don't think he had a girlfriend, and I think those are the two main ones I can remember. But it's just really I think this one brought it home just perfectly, and put that added an extra bit of tragedy to Captain America, the furthering the burdens he has to bear as one of Earth's mightiest heroes.
Mm-hmm. And actually, she is mentioned in a deleted scene in the Avengers, because Captain America is looking at old files and he sees that she's retired. And we lost somebody. Oh, and she's back.
Oh, no.
And she's back. And I didn't even bring her back. She came back on her. Holy crap, CS resurrected like Christ. My gosh.
She possessed your computer. Okay.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
have to say that's heresy, but no, I'm on vacation and I'm in the mountains, so
I'm in the
pretty good.
mountains. So, yeah. Anyway, so
Well,
the
it's
next
a little
scene
bit different
is
for my phone than Hotlanta, So.
Yeah. So the next scene is Fury trying to open the files that he got back from Widow from the Lemurian Star, and he's locked out. And so he tries everything from running decryption to override, and he's like, on whose authority? Nicholas or Fury, Nicholas J. And it's like, motherfucker, lock me out.
Did you try
locked
turning it
myself out.
on again?
Right. So then he heads up to the World Security Council,
nice
which
IT
is our introduction to Robert Redford playing Alexander Pierce. And they're all bitching at Pierce over the Lemurian Star hijacking and all of this stuff. And it's like, or they want action, and they think that Fury needs to probably be set aside. But I love how Robert Redford plays this. He's like, or some of us takes this rather seriously. Really, I don't care about one boat. I care about the fleet. If somebody's going to push us on the playground, or in this council's going to fall to rancor every time this happens, well, maybe we need somebody overseeing us, And that's when Fury gets called in, and he wants to delay Project Insight. Well, we already know, all of us already know, that Alexander Pierce is Hydra, and he's playing everybody like a brilliant puppet, or like a brilliant puppeteer. I love how he's like, all right, well, that's a subcommittee hearing and a long one, and he's like, maybe nothing, but if it's something, I think we'll be very glad that those helicarriers aren't up in the air. All right, fine. But you got to get Iron Man to come to my niece's birthday. And not just a flyby, he's got to mingle. It's like, did anybody consult Tony on this?
No.
I mean, I absolutely love that. So then we'll stick with this small scene before we get to Fury being attacked on the road. So before we get there, we'll start with our thoughts on this one. We'll start with Riot first.
I didn't know he was Hydra in the movie when I first watched it.
Well, no one did until afterward.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's a good point. But
I was saying about right now, we all knew he was Hydra.
oh, okay, all right, now I get it. Yeah, honestly, like he wasn't a very obvious bad guy. Honestly, even though he's like, oh, I want Nick Fury the other way. I'm like, is he the true villain? I'm not entirely sure yet. So yeah, it was a pretty good performance. I liked it, and then also I kind of was just chuckling at like the scene where it's like, oh, he should come to my niece's birthday party and whatever, because superheroes obviously are gonna be your celebrities, like, you know, a replacement for actresses and, you know, whatever. Like, so it's just like, yeah, there's probably like real life celebrities who literally had to like cash in a favor or something, and then like had to go to like some kid's birthday party or whatever. It's just kind of funny.
All right, CS.
I thought Rodford, like just like Riot was saying, I thought the performance was really good. I like that he's trying to keep people off balance a lot. That is something that is somewhat of a trademarker of evil, is that you try to keep people off balance a lot, and you say these very kind of like unexpected sort of statements. I mean, I didn't know he was Hydra either until like the end, so closer to the end. So, yeah, I was actually kind of expecting something and maybe like in the credits where Tony would be like, "What do you mean I got to show up to some kid's birthday party?" So I was kind of disappointed in that regard.
All right, Jacob.
You know, it's really interesting because I've seen a ton of Robert Redford films. He's a brilliant actor, and he usually doesn't play the villain, right? He often plays either a misunderstood person, or he's the outright hero, or something like that. So seeing him, and I guess spoiler alerts, or CJ already spoiled it, but seeing him transition from this kind of more sinister bad guy, I'm going to fake everybody out. They're thinking I'm allied with Shield, but really I'm really this type. I'm really this type of character. I thought it was really good, and of course, you can't ever go wrong with Robert Redford. I mean, the guy is, like I said, just a brilliant actor, and I really think he handled this part well. I always think it's interesting when I see kind of more like classic actors in these superhero movies. So, because like even Pierce Brosnan playing Dr. Fate in Black Adam, like he owned that part, and it's just not something you expect to see Pierce Brosnan. And he's been James Bond, he's been in musicals, he's been in more of the, and he's been assassins and everything, and terrorists and everything in between. But in this, but seeing Robert Redford grab onto this role and really have a good time with it, I really respect him for that. He didn't, because a lot of these, like, you can tell sometimes the actor is bored with playing the role, but Robert Redford, he just goes in for it and he dives hard, and I really applaud him. I didn't know, as Riot said, I didn't know he was Hydra. I was like, oh my gosh. So like, I was kind of expecting he was going to be Nick Fury's father. They were going to do something with the Infinity Serum. I was like, oh my gosh, they're about to introduce, this is going to be the classic Fury. You're going to find out this is Fury's father, and he's de-aged because of the Infinity Serum and all. But of course, I was wrong about that. But that's literally what I thought when his character was introduced in the theater. So I'm always happy to be wrong when the twist is a good twist. And in this case, it was not just a good twist, it was a great twist.
I loved Doctor Fate. That was like my favorite performance in Black Adam. I was like, why'd you kill him off?
Same.
It's like that was so wasted. All right. Oh, okay.
And the ambassador.
Well, what can you say about Robert Redford? I mean, the man has had a long and storied career. I will say the other film that he plays a spy in, and it's a personal favorite of mine, is Spy Games. When it's with him and Brad Pitt, and
Fantastic film.
yes, it very much is. Uh, him as Alexander Pierce. I'm just gonna say this, and I don't want to sound no. I'm just not going to worry about it. If you can look at Robert Redford in this role and say that, oh yeah, this guy is a good guy, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not sorry, but excuse me for being blunt. The man looks like the Red Skull, but with skin still on his head. This guy, a name like Alexander Pierce, I'm thinking, yeah, you're the bad guy. You're gonna turn heel at the moment that you least expect it. So
Alright.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody is dumb or anybody is
No, no.
stupid if you didn't catch it or anything, but I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be the bad guy. But he was a very good villain, and this is a villain that had absolutely no power. He was a schemer and he was a manipulator. What was he able to do? He shot a gun. He could sign paperwork. He could destroy people's lives. And he killed his own maid. Although he seemed rather heartbroken. Well, he seemed sad about it, but at the same time, he still shot his freaking maid.
Yep.
I thought, and what I would have thought would have been even better move would have been if he had said, "Kill her," and Winter Soldier killed her instead. Or killed her instead. Now
Well, it does show that it was a good way of confirming that this guy was truly evil
oh yeah, definitely
by having him do it.
Yeah, I agree. So
Yeah.
So moving on.
One of the things I do like about Robert Redford in this movie, he's a natural. I mean, I say that on two levels because he's also the natural from the movie. The Natural.
Never
Great movie, baseball movie, great story of humility.
You did a review of
Amazing.
that the other week, right?
Yes, I did. Yep.
All right. Yeah.
You said baseball, you lost me.
Well, give it a chance. Great movie.
No, I don't like baseball. It's a boring game.
I was a shortstop. I take umbrage to that. High school and college.
Okay,
I think the
professional
best
baseball is
sports
boring.
movies. Well, okay, but I mean, like the best sports movies tend to be about something
dare
other
you.
than just sports. You know, it's like Sandlot is about like rebuilding your community, and The Mighty Ducks is about beating Russia.
No,
Yeah.
Miracle is about beating
Miracles
Russia.
about beating Russia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alrighty,
okay,
so-
my bad. Yeah.
We get our next sequence, which is the assault on Fury from cops that aren't cops. And
No, they're
he's
Hydra
calling
agents.
Hill. Yep, they're Hydra. And I love the technology of this vehicle. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
call this number, call that number, engage, vertical takeoff, and everything. He's starting to get shot at. He has a freaking ballistic window that can handle that massive hammer thing that they were doing. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of how thick of glass would this have to be? I mean, this is like this
Pretty thick.
thin, folks. I mean, yeah, it's handling like it's strong enough to take armor-piercing rounds. So
This shield.
we then get the chase down, and we see him we see a figure who is very mysterious, shall we say. And I couldn't find the masked variant of this because there is a masked version of this right here.
Mhm.
This is the Winter Soldier that they have. And he's also in the game, which are Marvel's Avengers Alliance that I really like. Because they even drop the famous line, "Who the hell is Bucky?" in that game. But I do love how he's like, well, what is working? The air conditioning is still working. And I'm like, well, isn't that pleasant? Give me some air conditioning. But when he pulls out that tool to burn through the floor, I'm thinking to myself, did he actually pull out a lightsaber? Because that thing burned through the floor in like
It would have been purple if it had been a lightsaber.
seconds. In like 6 seconds. When the Winter Soldier grabs the door, rips it off, and looks in, he's already gone. And I'm thinking to myself, in 6 seconds? Less even? Kind of. It's like, dude, you must have had a lightsaber.
He was doing a Jedi
yeah.
mind trick.
Exactly, right? Now, the Winter Soldier, what is that noise?
Ain't
All right,
me.
who was that? Okay, it was CJ. But all right, let's get rid of Bucky here. When you guys were all watching this, did you notice that there is a sound effect attributed to the Winter Soldier that is like a screaming sound? Like a really high-pitched screaming or squealing sound.
I don't recall that, even watching it recently.
Me neither.
It did sort of, but it wasn't like
It's not like a
point
human scream, but kind of like a very haunting, high grading
Like the TIE
sound.
fighter kind of sound.
Sort of, but more.
Was it like?
It's like kind of.
Mm-mm.
But, and I'm thinking to myself, that is the most chilling sound I have ever heard. And they have it all throughout the scenes where he is in. When he, or especially the next scene where he shoots Fury. I gotta say, that scene alone is the most chilling sound, because they also show it at the end of the movie, or at the end of the end credit scene, where he's looking at himself and learning on himself. Because it's like, it really is creepy. But when he shows up, it's like, well, now who the hell is this guy? So what did you guys think about the chase sequence? And also, did you notice that a Penske truck was the one that took out one of those cop cars? And apparently that has something to do with the Punisher. So yeah.
I thought it was product placement.
Or yeah,
well,
it could be product. Most likely product placement, but somebody said something about a connection to the Punisher.
Well, this was when the Netflix shows were part of the MCU. Yeah. So it's possible that that was the case, but I don't remember that. I watched the Punisher, but I don't remember, and the Daredevil season when he was introduced, but I don't remember that specifically. I just assumed it was, like I said, I just assumed it was product placement.
All right, let's see here. All right, so anybody else? I'll go round table. Anybody who wants to chime in this time. Random. Go.
Well, for like the cop car stuff, I kind of found it. I suppose I suppose I was a bit amused, because even though this is an assassination attempt, it looked like basically like, you know, like a football pileup, but with cars. Like you're just like everyone's like the assassins are just smashing into the car at every angle to keep him from driving off. And then I never thought, like, you know, a rail gun attached to like in like the side of your, like, I guess like the driver's seat or something, like, could look so dapper. Like he just like flicks it up, like, okay, let's go. That was pretty cool. Then
I got taken out of it, so
yeah, it was a little bit like, oh, okay, cool. But then, you know, like the car chase ensues, and then like the Winter Soldier, like without any like fear or whatever, like he's just like, okay, here you go, and then so Yeah, that was a pretty cool first introduction to the Winter Soldier if we're going that far. So
You're muted.
you're
Orange.
muted.
Yeah, I noticed. Not to mention they herded him perfectly to the Winter Soldier. So yeah, I just noticed. It's like, how did the Winter Soldier know which road he was going to be on?
Well, they are Hydra assassins. They may have been doing this for a while. You know, there's this even with not being a superhero show. Say this was just a spy movie, you would probably have to suspend your belief just a little bit. But because that was always my thing. What with this movie, as much as I love it, I always go, man, Hydra is incredibly coordinated for being in the shadows of Shield. Like all of these cops are Hydra agents. And of course, Agents of Shield was going on. Season 2, the season 2 finale was happening at the same time as this movie, although that was happening at the hub, not the Triskelion. And it's kind of like, you have to admit it, you have to suspend your belief a little bit for this, because it's like, oh my gosh, so many Hydra agents know exactly what to do at the exact right time. And like you said, Bucky or Winter Soldier knows exactly where Fury is going to be. But it's fun. That's the point, right? It's a blast. You get to see Fury work the gun and do an escape into the sewer and all that. So no shade. It's just that was always something that always kind of bugged me about this movie, just how coordinated Hydra was. It's like, of course, they have, I guess, a literal computer brain helping them. We find out later. I know we'll get to that, but that is I always found that to be one of the more interesting parts about this movie and what they expect from the audience, I guess.
Oh, well, one of the things that I liked that I don't know if we got to it yet or not, but I just remembered it. They brought back the senator guy from Iron Man 2 and made him into a Hydra agent. I was thinking, so the pervasiveness of Hydra is not just within Shield, it's also within like politics and just other areas. So I mean, coming off of Iron Man 3, that was pretty cool to see. So I imagine there's a lot of coordination, and I don't know, there's just some things that were like obviously plot contrivance at some point. Like later on when Maria Hill shows up in the cart thing, the big truck. I was like, oh, okay, that's how they got out of this mess. Wrote yourself into a corner, huh, script? How do you get it out? Oh, I know. Someone else saves them.
Okay, I managed to find a scene that has the sound of the winter, or that screaming sound. So I'm going to play it for you all. Tell me if you noticed. Does this sort of sound like a scream? This is the end credit scene, but I'm not going to show everybody. I'm just going to play it with my phone. That screaming sound at the end.
That sounds like a bird cawing.
I was about to say, it sounds like a bird screeching. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does almost sound like, but that's the sound that they actually attribute to the Winter Soldier. You hear it more on the freeway chase. Also, or definitely any scene where the Winter Soldier is in, where he's mysterious at that point. Or you hear kind of an echo of it, especially in the scene after Fury is shot. But it really is a very chilling sound. I mean, that's one of the things that they did really well with this movie was sound and writing, and, well, pretty much almost everything with this movie. So we get to Sharon Carter and Nick Fury at the at Cap's apartment. Now, she tells him, or she was talking with her aunt, which was Peggy, who's the insomniac. But he obviously doesn't know that because he doesn't know her last name is Sharon, or he thinks her name is Kate, but her name's actually Sharon Carter, Agent 13. And when Fury is in there and Captain America sneaks in, the song that's playing on the record player is the very same song at the end of Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Until We Meet Again, I believe is the name of the song. So he then sees that Fury is beat the hell up, like he's very worse for wear, but Fury tells him, ears everywhere, shield is compromised, and the only people I can trust is you and me. And that's when he gets 3 armor-piercing shots right through his back and through his chest. And I'm like, oh shit, did they just kill Fury? So
yeah, that was grody. I was like, oh
no. And when I saw the trailer, the official trailer for this movie, the first one, and where Captain America throws the shield at the Winter Soldier after he's chasing him, and he just turns and catches the damn shield, I'm like, how? I didn't see a metal arm at first when I saw the trailer, because I'm thinking to myself, if somebody was able to catch that shield after Cap, a super soldier with strength, hurls that at him, if you're catching it like this, your thumb is gone. Your thumb is completely severed from your hand. So it makes sense that he turns with his metal arm and just catches it, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is badass. And you really can't tell that it's Bucky at first, because he has the smudge, or he has the sniper smudge over his eyes. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, who is this guy? Because he's chasing after Fury and he's freaking shooting him through walls. What the? How the fuck did he even know where to shoot? You know? I mean, this whole scene was chilling to the bone, especially when he hands the drive to Steve and he's like, don't trust anyone. Does that include the chick that just burst down my door? And I mean, it really is a great scene. She's like, I'm Agent 13. I'm assigned to protect you. On whose order? His. Foxtrot is down. It's like, yeah, they would call him Foxtrot. F for Fury, you know. So what did you all think of this scene? Plus later on at the hospital when it shows that he's dead and you see Black Widow freaking out and Hill having to take him. So we'll start with Riot first with the assassination of Nick Fury.
Well, like I said, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like. I was just like, oh my god, did I just kill Nick Fury? And it's like, yeah, and then it's basically, it's kind of like a scene that cements like everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's just like everything's on fire, and basically, if like Captain America, like Black Widow, like, you know, Sharon Carter, like any regular people, they'd be panicking. They'd be reasonably, like, absolutely, like, panicking and, like, out of their freaking minds. And I'm just like, well, that's, I guess that's why they're superheroes, or, like, you know, special agents, right? You know, they gotta like figure this stuff out, really. So that's what I thought of it.
CJ.
I feel a lot more cynical because they're like, oh, well, they'll bring him back in the next movie anyway, probably. And they didn't wait for the next one. So, I was like, oh, okay. I do agree with Riot in that, like, it really does show how the stakes have been upped. It's a good sign that you're dealing with somebody that's very sinister, very smart. They're just, and they're very mysterious still. So there's a lot of trouble, and it does kind of harken back to the theme of like, who can you really trust, and especially when the nurse lady, Agent 13, comes burst into the door after he was just inviting her over for coffee, and you know, Very normal one moment, very surreal the next. Surreal and sinister.
Yep.
Jacob, sorry.
No, I actually wasn't so sure they were going to bring back Nick Fury, and I know CJ, like she was saying, she was being cynical about it, but at the time, Samuel L. Jackson had not renewed his contract with Marvel, so he had only a few more appearances left. So I was thinking, oh, okay, this is it. This is going to be his last. This is going to be his last appearance as Nick Fury, and also at this point, Disney had taken over, right? So, you know, different studio means different contracts, different types of appearances, that sort of thing. So I actually was not so sure he was coming back. I thought that it would be I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. They're gonna bring it in, or they're gonna bring Coulson back. Because I know at the time Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was still connected to the to the MCU. So I was thinking, oh, they're gonna bring Coulson back, or a character from the show, and just make them the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I honestly was convinced. I was like, oh yeah, he this is it. He's dead. We're not going to see him again. I will admit, Widow's reaction did confuse me a bit, because it seemed like she was more connected to Hawkeye, and also now she's been working with the Avengers. So her attitude did confuse me a little bit, but I just went with it and rolled with it. I thought it was a really good setup on how S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to proceed with the story.
Yeah. All right. Ambassador.
Well, an absolutely pulse-pounding, intense scene. I mean, from the minute that first car crashes into the back of Fury's SUV, and I want that SUV. I want the AI. I want the propulsion system. I want the guns. I want every single gadget that's in that damn SUV. And the thing that I appreciate is the fact that all of those agents, none of them speak. They all do their commands or their movement orders by hand signal. That's a piece of authenticity that I really, really appreciate. Even though I'm not military myself, but that's how guys like this would operate. As far as the reveal of Winter Soldier goes, near perfect reveal for a character we've been kind of waiting for, because for those of us who know the history of Captain America and Bucky got a big upgrade and everything. I think it was like in the early to mid 90s, and the Winter Soldier was how they upgraded him. And honestly, Sebastian Stan in this role, granted he doesn't speak that much, just his facial expressions, how he moves, all of that, he is a pure predator, pure killer. And it would quite literally take a near act of God to save you when the Winter Soldier gets your scent.
That is a good point. So what did you think about Fury getting shot and whatnot?
As far as all that goes, very intense scene as well. I mean, we all like Fury. I mean, it's Samuel Jackson. He's been there since the start. Obviously, we know he's still around now, but at that time, yeah, this felt like the end for Fury, and they made it believable. And we'll get to his resurfacing when we get to it, but that was an interesting piece of storytelling as well.
And one of the things I like about when Widow arrives, she asks immediately for ballistics, and it's no rifling slugs, and she knows immediately Soviet made. Now, one of the things I noticed, folks, Hydra began as Nazi Germany's science division. And in this, it's more Russian spycraft because Russia gets a hold of the Winter Soldier later on. And I'm thinking to myself, when did Russia get a hold of the Nazis' Deep Science Division, you know? But that's one thing they actually do not really cover in this. You don't really question it, but that is something that they do not cover at all in the MCU. When did the Soviet Union get a hold of Bucky Barnes? Because Bucky was found by Hydra, which at the time were offshoots of the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
So we then see that Fury's declared dead, and S.H.I.E.L.D. calls Cap back, and they're rather insistent. And Cap puts the drive into a vending machine with some gum, and he gets to talk with Pierce. And then we get to, or the way that Pierce talks, this is when I knew, when I was in the theater watching this is when I knew something was off about Pierce. To build a better world sometimes means tearing down the old one, and that makes enemies. Somebody to call you dirty when you're sticking your hands in the mud. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I get that sentiment, but this is something that is it's the controversy, however you are, or you've just shown that by even saying that you are willing to go that far.
I am the controversy.
Exactly. Well, exactly. You actually said it. I'll say later on as you go. Or hold on here. We got a comment here. I'll say later on as you guys talk about a certain character, the whole reveal about Nat and Cap finding out about a certain bunker and Hydra and the similarities of how it echoes reality is scary. That is something we are going to talk about when we get to Zola. So definitely Skyhound. But at current moment, we then get to the elevator fight, and I absolutely love that Cap is picking up on this as it's happening. These people are just flooding his elevator, different floors, so that they're going to have to go to different floors, stopping at different areas, possibly for more reinforcements to show up if something goes wrong. And he's seeing one guy sweating. He sees another guy already has his hand on his weapon when there's no threat. And so when he's finally surrounded by everybody in the strike team, he's like, before we get started, does anyone want to get out? And that's when they drop all pretense. And another thing, the magnetic clasps that they have on him inspire a new feature to Cap in Age of Ultron, which is the magnetic call for his shield, which is pretty cool. But I do like that idea with the magnetic clasp or manacles or shackles, because they actually would make it very hard for somebody, even of Cap's strength, to break out of, you know? I mean, you even see him struggle with it. What did everybody think of him busting out of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the elevator fight versus the Quinjet as well? Because honestly, taking down the Quinjet was a bit of a stretch, but it's also very cool to see. So we'll start with Jacob in this one. What did you think of the elevator fight and the escape from S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh, I loved the elevator fight. I thought it was very well coordinated. And usually, as someone who watches a lot of action films, I don't usually like fights that are in those small spaces because they can tend to look uninspired, I guess. But I thought it was very well coordinated. Frank Grillo did a fantastic job in that scene, although it might have been a stunt double. I don't know. But I thought that whole sequence was amazing. And like you said, I thought the Quinjet being shot down was really cool. That was, or not shot down, but you know what I mean. I thought it
down
was
with the shield.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really cool. That was very well done, well coordinated.
Yeah. Riot.
Usually, I'm not a big cinematography person. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Oh, that looked cool. But yeah, I have to admit the cinematography for like the lead up to the elevator fight scene is really well done. Like I really paid attention to it, like watching it I think it's the third time around I've seen this now. And like I'm just like you can really feel like almost like the walls are closing in a bit. It's just like they're in a confined space. You don't really know what's going to happen. So yes, and then like like the shot of like I think most of it is from like the backside as well. So it's like almost like you think somebody's gonna go up and attack him, and then it turns out it's these agents. And it was really well done. I gotta admit, like I was like, dang, like these guys know their stuff whoever shot this scene. So
All right. CJ has to head out. So is there anything you want to say before you go?
The elevator scene was pretty good. So, no, I'm sorry I have to leave early. We're in
Kiddos,
a different
I get
time
it.
zone than, yeah, well, we're in a different time zone than normal. So I actually got all mixed up with time and stuff today again. So it's always nice chatting with you guys, and thank you for having me on. And
Yep.
I hope I've added some amount of joy to your lives in the hour I've been here, right? So.
Yep. All righty.
Okay.
And you did. It's
All right.
always fun to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll talk to you
Yep.
guys next week.
All righty. Take it easy. So, Ambassador or Jake? I already asked Jake? So, Ambassador.
Yeah.
The elevator scene, okay, I want to go back to the scene with we lost Jake. Orange, what'd you
Yes,
do?
we did. I didn't do shit.
What'd you
It
do?
says
What'd
device
you do?
is not connected. And he's back, I think.
Okay.
There he is. Yep.
That whole scene, okay, the scene with Pierce and Cap, and Pierce is questioning him, and Cap is trying to be as underhand as sneaky as he can be, and Nat said perfectly, you suck at lying. And he really does suck at lying. I mean, he's trying, but when you've got somebody that's as scummy as they come in Alexander Pierce, who deals in trade of lies and deception, and you're trying to deceive a deceiver and you're no good at it. Yeah, his first response is, I'm going to send a bunch of people after you. I'm going to do it as sneakily as possible. Although, even when the first time I saw this scene, I was like, yeah, this is going to turn into a fight scene. Most definitely. This is going to end up in a scuffle. But damn, what a scuffle. And honestly, the buildup is intense. The tension just keeps building as more and more agents get onto that elevator. But the funny thing is, when you have that overhead shot of everybody else on the floor, their ass is handed to them, and Cap is standing around them with bodies just strewn in that elevator, and he just hits or kicks the shield, and it just pops back up on his arm, and you're like,
Yep.
damn,
Badass. Felt personal to me.
Absolutely freaking badass. And then when they're trying to corner him again as he's going through between the floors, and he's like, screw it, I'll just jump out the damn window.
Yep. It's like you're not catching me. I'm falling out of the window. I'm good.
I'll break my arm. I'll frickin' dislocate my shoulder just to get away from these guys, because chances are they're trying to kill me.
And they don't even show it. He gets from the lobby to the garage and to his motorcycle in a matter of what, 20 seconds? Give or
20
take?
to 30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah. And what's his face? Sitwell. He ain't gonna be sitting so well when Cap's done with him. And he's like, lock down the bridge, lock down the garage, and Cap is like, bye.
Just
Screw
at the
you.
last second, yeah.
Yeah, at the last second, but still. And then they're like, Captain Rogers, stop where you are. And he's like, I'm thinking, he just jumped down an elevator full of agents. He just jumped out of a window. You think he's going to stop for you and your Piddly Quinjet? Screw you and the horse you rode in on. And he takes their asses out too. Absolutely perfect.
Yep. Now there is a deleted scene where after Pierce and Sitwell engage the manhunt for Captain America, I do like how Agent 13, she's like, with all due respect, if we're engaging a manhunt for Captain America, we deserve to know why. I mean, that is a good scene in it there, but they also, an extension of that scene is like activate the tracker in his suit. Well, Strike goes to find his suit, and that's how he loses them, and that's why he also has different clothes on when he goes back to the hospital to get the drive, except that he realizes, oh crap, the drive is gone. And I just love how Widow pops up just freaking mouthful of bubble yum. Oh my god. Never mind. And so he drags her into a room.
Oh, come on, Orange. Go there. Go there.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it. Go there. Do it.
No. Do it. Anyway, he's like, where is it? Safe. Do better. Fury gave it to you. What? And so she ends up she's like, I know who shot Fury. Many in the spy world don't believe he exists. Those that do call him the Winter Soldier. He's credited with over, I think, 70 assassinations in the past, or 100 some odd assassinations in the past 50 years. So he's a ghost story. And then she talks about how she engaged the Winter Soldier and she can't wear bikinis because she has a scar that the Winter Soldier shot her, or shot his target through her. And it's like, bye-bye bikinis. Yeah, I'm sure you look terrible in them now. Chicks or people dig scars, woman. But anyway,
yeah, especially if they're on
I also do believe that Scarlett Johansson was pregnant during this film.
She was?
Wasn't that Age of Ultron when she was pregnant?
No, I think it was Age of Ultron. I think it was Age of Ultron that she was pregnant. It wasn't Winter Soldier.
Well, either one. Could have sworn. But anyway, so they have to dodge. They go into a mall, pop in the drive, and they have to evade Strike. And you get that scene with that crazy computer guy who looks like he belongs in commercials that I swear I've seen before. But
you probably have.
Because
I think you're right.
And it's like, I am Aaron, or I've been Aaron. And it's like, I don't know what that means. So
I'm not sure myself, but
yeah. So then they're evading Strike, and this is where Widow's in her element, because Cap wants to engage, where Widow's like, put your hand around me and laugh at something I said. Do it now. And so he does. And then she's like, kiss me. What? Public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable. Yes, they do. And so she kisses him. And it actually works, because you see Rumlow look, and then he's like, ugh. And it's like, really? Fucking really? And she's like, still feel uncomfortable? Not the word I'd use for it. And I love the joke she says. I love the joke she says. So, can I ask you something? However, you don't have to answer, but if you don't answer, you're kind of saying, what? Was that your first kiss since 1945? That bad, huh? Then he's like, and it's not my first kiss from 1945. I'm 95. I'm not dead. I'm thinking to myself, wow. Because, yeah, I believe he was born in 1920.
1918.
Or, yeah, 1918. So, 95. So that would make it 2013. Yep, 2013. However, the movie, I believe, was released in 2014. Yeah, 4/4/14. But anyway, they stole a truck. He's like, where did Captain America learn to steal a truck? Nazi Germany. And we're not stealing. We're borrowing. Yeah, except that Shield blew the fuck out of that truck afterward.
Yep.
So before we get to Zola, what did everybody think of evading or Natasha helping Cap evade Shield through spycraft? We'll start with ladies first, Riot.
That was very good of her to do. And that was pretty smart of her to do because, this is basically like equivalent and almost like an FBI equivalent, like in terms of like, like the amount of manpower and stuff like that and what they can do. Yeah, I was just like, yay, she's helping. I'm so happy. I'm happy she's not evil. I don't know.
What'd you think of him or her forcing Cap to kiss her?
I was like,
Hashtag him too.
nice.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Jake, what'd you think?
I really love this sequence. I think that you don't get to see a lot of Natasha's spycraft. Like, she's supposed to be this top spy, her and Clint, and you didn't really get to see too much of it since Iron Man 2, obviously, and getting to see it now in this very broader MCU context. I think that's really cool. The scene where they kiss, once again, dropping hints on both Cap and Black Widow's love life it's very interesting. You can tell so many different people wanted different things, and there was different fan fiction being written from from all the screenwriters. But it was really cool to seeing that side of her that you don't normally get to see in the broader scope of the MCU.
All right, Ambassador. Speak.
Well, you won't go there. I will. Cap was probably thinking, man, I wish that I was that piece of gum in Black Widow's mouth.
I was going to say something a lot more dirtier than that. That's why I didn't say it.
Oh, mine wasn't dirty. I get it. Up yours.
Not dirty enough. I was going to say she has a huge load of gum in her mouth or a huge load in her mouth.
Mine is the same context.
Same context, but mine is 1,000 times dirtier. Oh, now she gets it. Took her a week.
Jeez, Riot. I know you're young, but good grief, lady. Anyway, the whole sequence in the mall with them evading Rumlow and everything, and I just gotta say, I hate Rumlow, and I'm glad he got a building collapse sign, and I'm glad that eventually Scarlet Witch makes him go boom. There.
I'm gonna be honest, I get like 50% of dirty jokes. That's my success rate.
You're still young. You have a ways to go. You'll learn. Stick with us. You'll learn.
Hang around.
Yeah.
Hang around with us long enough. You'll get it. But yeah, the whole yeah. But honestly, that whole sequence, it has enough suspense, but it also has a good level. It has a good balance of humor as well, because she's like, "Hey, put your arm around me. Pretend you said something funny. I'm laughing at it, and then kiss me." He's like, "What?" She's like, "Kiss me," and I'm thinking, "It's Scarlett Johansson. Kiss her." When Scarlett Johansson tells you to kiss her, you kiss her. You don't go, "What?" You go, "Okay." You lean in, dude.
I would be like, okay, even though I'm straight.
Trust me.
Black Widow tells you to kiss her. You lean in. You kiss that lady.
Damn straight.
In my case, it was. But anyway,
you can't. You're married.
Granted.
But
if I was not married,
you still ask permission from your fiance. Look at him checking.
Well, she's in the next room. I know she wouldn't say anything because she knows we're doing a review here and I'm being a little cheeky. So she
You're
knows.
so lucky you have headphones on.
She gets an idea what you all say because she does sometimes tune in.
Nice.
He's
He's cheating on you. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
scare out the parrot so much you want to kiss her. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, they're right.
Suck up.
That's not sucking up. It's true.
Nice.
Madam
You all
Ambassador strikes.
Yeah, she does. She occasionally gets me, and that's okay. Because
Love
I
it.
get her. Uh-oh.
I don't care if you want to kiss Scarlett Johansson.
I know, but I don't. I'd rather kiss you.
Fine, I don't kiss you.
It's not what you
Obviously,
said
I
a few
love
minutes
Chris
ago.
Scott. I'd rather kiss you too. Because obviously I'm married to you. If you liked it so much, you put a ring on it.
Well, you liked it so much, you put a ring on it too. Now, see, Orange, this is what you get when you get me, and when you get
Yeah,
Madam
exactly.
Ambassador. And this
You
is
guys
what you
are-
get when you have a more.
You guys remind me
Yeah, right?
of my mom and stepdad. It's like the cheekiness.
I'm sorry, you had a
of the back.
stepdad, and you didn't have a dad.
I do have a dad.
I'm sorry, you
dad,
had a
yes.
stepdad instead of a dad. Yeah, I know,
She
but I'm
has-
sorry
she
that
has a
they
dad,
couldn't
Dad.
stay together. But I'm sorry you didn't have your parents can stick together. But I'm happy that your mom and your stepdad are happy.
She has
But
parents.
anyway,
Yeah, fine. Okay. I was just
and one
like,
of these
yeah.
days when you're all, and one of these days when you're all grown up, you'll find yourself a nice fella and you'll get hitched too, and there'll be much rejoicing in the
Okay.
kitty house.
Unlike Black
Well,
Widow
I
and
hate
Captain
it.
America.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's get back on track.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, let's get back on track. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
about the
pretty
So-
sure they had a kid together in the Heroes of Tomorrow, the next Avengers.
Who knows?
So that's
But-
weird.
Yeah, and who would they
Oh, yeah,
call
the
Captain
animated
Widow
film,
Or,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
the
was an
animated film.
film.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
did not
it
I
know
was
guess
that.
it'd be
all their
Captain
Avengers
Widow
kids.
or Captain Romanoff or something like
No,
that.
no,
All right.
it was just he just called
Would it be
himself Captain America.
would it be racist to say that the kid's name was Black America?
No,
Russian
because you
America?
want to combine their two names.
yeah.
Captain Russian. No, Captain
There you
Russian.
Anyway.
American Russian.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we
that'd
get
be funny.
to New
Comrade
Jersey.
America.
New Jersey. All right,
New
we
Jersey,
get to New
Camp Lehigh.
Jersey. Yeah,
Camp Lehigh.
and we see the origin of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was from originally the SSR, which was where the end of Captain America 1 took place, where she was, or where Phillips handed her the file on the skinny kid from Brooklyn. Now, they finally get down into this computer factory of supercomputers. And it turns out that Zola is alive. And Zola
Boo!
is basically, instead of a walking robot with a head in its chest or a face in the chest, he's instead more grounded into reality. He's in a computer system. He's a massive AI, so to speak. And I gotta say, Toby Jones did a very good job with handling it. Not to
That's
mention, he did really give away Scarlett Johansson's actual birth year. She was born in 1984, which was nice to add a little bit of realism in it. And Skyhound was talking about this, where humanity, or the goal of Hydra was to make the world so chaotic that humanity was willing to give up its freedom for security. Very reminiscent to what's going on in today's world. The world is so chaotic that some people actually want to give up their rights
Because they're stupid.
Exactly, because they are absolutely stupid for their security. And it's like, those rights can ensure your security if you use them right. 2A, everybody. 2A. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
But I do I absolutely love it. And he's like, and when history didn't agree with us, history was changed. And you see the Winter Soldier in articles and hidden in the articles. You also see Zola hidden in the backgrounds of different clippings and whatnot. A beautiful parasite growing inside Shield. And he's like, Hydra died with the Red Skull. Cut off one head, and two more shall take its place. Prove it. And so he accesses the archive, and you now see that the Winter Soldier was responsible for Howard Stark's death. So this sets up Civil War, that very important scene that we'll get to when we get to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love it. It's like, we won, Captain. Your death is the same, or will mean absolutely nothing, a zero sum. And he punches the screen, and it's like, as I was saying. So they try to get Project Insight, the skinny on it, with the hard drive. But it turns out, he's like, I've been stalling, Captain. We are both of us, or it's better this way. We're both of us out of time. They launched a ballistic missile. Now, Cap, like the superhero strong man he is, pulls up the grate and throws it. Dumb fucking move. You see, I would have pulled up the grate and said, get down here, pulled the grate back up, and then used my shield to prevent anything from crushing if the grate failed. He fucking throws the goddamn grate aside, and it's like, oh, well, that's kind of stupid. But Zola is now dead. His data banks are destroyed, and Shield goes hunting after Cap pulls the unconscious Widow out. What did everybody think of the Zola sequence and the nice little callback to Captain America 1 where you have the drill sergeant saying, Rogers, fall in! We'll start with Ambassador.
Well, honestly, it's that whole sequence and everything, they get down into, I'm going to kind of skip over the whole part where he's having the flashbacks or anything. That's a nice touch and all, but that's not really the meat and potatoes of the scene. Discovering that Armin Zola has the intellectual know-how to transfer his consciousness onto a series of, very low tech, but at the time very high tech data banks is nothing short of impressive considering his intellect. I mean, it takes an entire room of computer data banks and everything to keep all of his intellect in one place, essentially. And it's a contest and everything. I'm not saying by any degree that Cap and Natasha are stupid, but when you've got a guy like Armin Zola, who was honestly way more intelligent than both of them combined, and all he has is his wit and his intellect to stall them long enough to allow Shield/Hydra to take them out. That's a very intense scene, and you don't realize that's actually what's happening until he says something.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, you get the impression he might be stalling them, but you might be thinking, okay, maybe there's more strike team members coming to take them out, but you don't realize that they're sending a freaking missile to blow the joint up. And that Zola's Zola's like, yeah, I'm going to die, but you're going to die too, and we're going to succeed anyhow. And yeah, what you said a few minutes ago is absolutely true. There are people out there that are damn dumb enough to surrender their freedoms for a bit of security. You got security with your right, you dummies.
Yep. You're just not willing to employ it because you think they're so evil.
Yeah, and that to me is just the ultimate definition of insanity.
Yep.
Giving up a right for the perception of reality that you think you might have from someone else when you can secure that own security yourself. But in terms of the scene itself, great piece of acting on the part of Toby Jones. I mean, it's all done by voice and so on, but legitimate great scene. So
yeah. And Jake, your thoughts?
I agree. I think that the Arnim Zola scene is really good. Like you said, sometimes you want these comic book movies to make the actual look how the villain is in the comic books, and because honestly, when you look at some costumes where they try to do an alternative, you're like, why didn't they just do the original costume? It looks better. In this case of the Arnim Zola, I agree with you. I think they did a great job modernizing him, as opposed to being a giant square robot walking around. As cool as that is in animation, I don't know how it would have translated into live action. But so I think making him this giant sort of presence in Shield and the back rooms of the Shield computer system, I think that made more sense for this context. And adding all the flashback stuff, and we get the glimpse of Winter Soldier being responsible for the death of the Starks. I think that it all came together really well. I think it was a pretty well written scene, and you get this idea that Hydra, to me, like they also connected this a little bit with. Again, I know I keep bringing up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but at the time they were still connected to the MCU. They say that in the show. It's in fact one of the World Security Council members. You find out he's one of the heads of Hydra. He says, you think it's just been World War II. We've been around way longer than that. And he said even before the Red Skull, the Hydra was around. He just brought us to the forefront. And you definitely got that hint with this sequence here.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the Hydra leader guy, I can't remember the name of him, but when the tentacle face dude in the show, I seriously can't remember his damn name. But they also did mention that Captain America destroys the Triskelion, or the helicarriers at the Triskelion. It's like, the fuck are they even talking about? Captain America destroying? Oh, then I went to see the movie, and it's like, oh, well, son of a bitch. Plus, Bill Paxton being a
Hive.
bad guy.
Sorry,
Hive,
I googled it. Hive is it was the tentacle creature.
Yep, Hive was his name. But yeah, freaking Bill Paxton as a Hydra agent was freaking nuts. Back when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually pretty cool, folks, because they actually connected it to the movies in several different ways. First, the Battle of New York, then the Kree, then the aftermath of Thor 2, and then the aftermath of Civil War. And then they started branching off on their own. They used the Darkhold, which was destroyed and sent back down to hell. However, they didn't really think about that when they made WandaVision. But anyway, Riot, what did you think of this scene? Because I know I haven't asked you about it yet.
Well, it was, it's just kind of like, oh, well, it's coming all together now. And, I'm like, backing up a mine into a database and then, making it basically be an algorithm almost. And it still has independent thought or whatever, like kind of, well, at least a bit of independent thought. That was just like, whoa. Dang, you accomplished this in the 70s. That was, and like him, like I think like his monologue was really, really powerful in the sense, like, it's just like, oh yeah, we're like everywhere, and everybody's gonna try and kill you, and that kind of a thing. And it's just like, oh yeah, it's all coming together now, and yep, we just need you guys dead, and and nothing's gonna stand in our way. And so and then it turns out he was actually stalling, and to have S.H.I.E.L.D. kill them. So yeah, honestly, like that was really great. It just like it's clear and concise, and it doesn't while it is an exposition dump, it doesn't feel like an exposition dump. So I always appreciate that. So
All right. So then we get the reveal, if it wasn't clear enough, that Alexander Pierce is definitely Hydra, because the Winter Soldier shows up at his home, and I just love it. It's like, you want some milk? Knowing that this guy is totally stoic, and he orders the kill order on Widow and Cap. And Renata is taken off. Thankfully, she didn't look the first time, but she came back. And the second she looks at the Winter Soldier is when Robert Redford's like, oh, Renata, really wish you would have knocked. And he shoots her. Now, I noticed this, that he shot her left-handedly, because I noticed that Robert Redford is actually in real life left-handed. And it's a nice little Easter egg thing. But let me see the next part. Then I think it's Sam is out jogging again, and Cap and Widow show up there. And they talk about trust, and now that he saved her life, she saved his, that there is trust now between them, because trust is a big thing in this movie. He's not trusting Fury. Fury doesn't want him to trust anybody. Widow now, or Cap now trusts Widow, because Widow, or he saved Widow's life. And then Sam offers help with the X-07 Falcon suit. And we learn that he has the wings and whatnot. And so we go to get Jasper Sitwell, who is on the Lemurian Star. And I love the setup where where she's still trying to set him up with a date right after she kicks Sitwell off a roof.
yeah, that was great. It's just like,
I mean, it's like, holy shit, man. She just straight up kicked this dude off a roof. Hey, what about that girl from Tech or whatever with what is Lillian? Yeah, lip piercing. Yeah, she's cute. Yeah, I'm not ready for that. Me, when it comes to piercings, folks, if you have a nose piercing or a lip piercing, that's an instant turnoff for me. Mainly because I'm well aware of its origin. So, yeah. And then we get the reveal of Sam in the Falcon suit, which is pretty cool. Not to mention, we also had Senator Stearns, who was talking with Sitwell with the whole Hail Hydra thing. Oh, yeah. We got a little pit bull in the background who's growling. Yeah. Who's a little angry at the senator? Who's a good doggy? Sorry.
now he sounds like he's snoring.
Are you asleep? Ambassador, wake up, dude. So, yeah, okay, good. He's awake. So, we then learn of what Project Insight is, the helicarriers, anybody who's a threat to Hydra now in the future. And they mention Stephen Strange, Bruce Banner, or an Idaho senator, and a high school gym teacher. And they evaluate your past to predict your future. And Zola taught Hydra how to read the digital age. And I'm thinking to myself, this is very creepy. And so also you do now, folks.
Oh no, they have my browsing history.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that Zola said, Hydra's New World Order. Well, they were going to name Captain America 4 New World Order.
Now it's Brave New World.
Now it's Brave New World. New World is still in it, but it's instead Brave New World. And it turns out that's not a good idea either, to be completely honest. They should
because of a certain book by that's Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein.
Well, there is also a book called Brave New World, I do believe.
Yep.
That's also quite not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I cannot on it. I honestly can't say what that book is about. I haven't read it. I do believe Skyhound has a little background on that book. If you could put it in the chat, Pierce, if you're still there. I would have likely kissed Scarlett, and I'm still single. But yeah, so you also see the guns on the helicarrier start to point towards the camera when he's talking about the New World Order. But now when Zola or when they're taking Sitwell into S.H.I.E.L.D. and we get on the freeway, we get the attack of the Winter Soldier. How the fuck he just drops out of the sky onto their car in the middle of a freeway is beyond me. It's like,
Pretty
what
cool,
the
though.
It is cool. Don't get me wrong. That is freaking awesome. He just drops in, reaches in, pulls Sitwell, throws him out, and a Penske truck smashes Sitwell there too. And it's like, dude, Frank, what the hell are you doing on the freeway?
I know, like I was looking at that, I was like, oh god, it's just like freaking, I don't know, like Terminator,
Yeah,
like pulls him out, and then he gets hit by a truck to Final Destination style.
And then
there's a little bit of Sitwell. There's a little bit of Sitwell. There's a little bit of Sitwell. There's a little bit of Sitwell.
And it didn't sit well with him either. So we then get the reveal of the Winter Soldier on the freeway when they slam on the brakes. Now, the only smart one out of all these guys who are just looking dumbfounded, like, well, here's Widow. Then she gets her gun trained, ready to shoot his ass, except they get hit by a vehicle. And then, like a smart assassin, Winter Soldier pulls the wheel out, the steering wheel. And we then get... Now, here's something that is also cool. The Hydra agents defer to the Winter Soldier. They hand them their weapons, which is pretty cool. It's like, okay, you take over. This is your mission. They hand him the grenade launcher, which sends Kappa to a bus off the freeway. They send... Or I also like how Black Widow, handles this. She gets blown off the bridge, so she uses her little grappling hook, and she sees his shadow because he's waiting for her to show up. And he ends up shooting at her, or she ends up under the bridge shooting at him from up top, cracking his goggles. And he's like, you poor bastard. He's like, that bitch broke my glasses. So he then starts firing below, but she's already moving. She's moving. She's playing it smart, and she's firing at him elsewhere. And then when she's running away, I love how she turns and gives him that sleek smile. It's like, come and get me, boys. She's still playing it like she's in control. We learn later she's not so much in control because she ends up getting shot by him. But I know I'm skipping a fair bit because there's also miniguns and shields and shit. But when she's running away from him after she also uses a stinger on his arm to shut down his mechanical arm, because his mechanical arm can lock in different places, which is pretty cool. But when she actually gets shot, she stops, comes up, and starts convulsing, which is actually something that is kind of realistic, because you literally got shot through and through, and your body is going through an immediate sense of shock. So it's like when she stops and starts convulsing a little bit and then drops to the side of the car, it's like, yeah, that actually does kind of seem real, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then we get the Bucky versus Winter Soldier versus Cap fight, where the Winter Soldier gets his hand on the shield. Now, a lot of people don't know this. That's actually an Easter egg, because the Winter Soldier becomes Captain America in the comics before Sam becomes Captain America in the comics. So, yeah, there is the whole Bucky is a super soldier. He kind of is more worthy of that shield, in my opinion. So, Or also something y'all don't realize, Sam is a mutant, so to speak. However, they can't really point that out in the MCU because of rights issues at the time. He's actually able to talk to birds and understand birds.
Yeah.
He's
That's
able to
good.
understand
They've
avians.
kind of retconned that though, where it's more like he can just kind of telepathically tell them what to do, as opposed to like talking to them and
You
whatnot.
can control birds. Okay.
Right? They did that same thing.
Yeah,
with
he's a living
Aquaman.
Hitchcock.
Yeah.
He really is Birdman.
Yeah.
It's a little lame, but
Yeah.
okay.
Harvey Birdman.
Yes.
Oh,
There you go. So, what did you all think of the Sitwell freeway and fight between Cap and Bucky, now that it's revealed to be Bucky, because he ends up getting the mask off him? And that reveal is honestly very good, because it's like, Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky? And he's about to shoot him with the 4-barrel pistol, which I can't remember what they call that one. But yeah, that's actually quite a hardcore pistol.
Mm-hmm.
So what did y'all think? We'll start with ladies first. Right.
yeah, like I said before, it was kind of like the Winter Soldier reminded me of the Terminator, with him just ripping Sidwell out of the car, like with no hesitation. Then he just gets banged by a truck, and so yeah, and like obviously, like, you know, fast forwarding to like the Winter Soldier fight, I think this was pretty well choreographed. And then I think like you know, that reveal, it was good in like the sense where it's just like Sebastian Stan basically like did his best blank stare you could possibly imagine. Like, he's not very much reacting to the information all that, like, because he's, you know, the Winter Soldier is very stoic and stuff like that. So he's basically like a human machine almost. So it's like, who the hell is Bucky? And he's just like, boom. It's like, goodbye. So it's just like, yeah, he does not remember you, buddy, at all.
All right, Ambassador.
I honestly have to say this is one of the most intense, well choreographed, and well put together action sequences in the entire MCU, regardless of phase. The Russos, they could have not planned this out better from start to finish. From the minute the Winter Soldier lands on top of the car that Sam and Steve and Nat and Sitwell are all in at the time, to when they all get away, essentially, it's pulse pounding, it's intense, it's got you on the edge of your seat, like, holy crap, what's going to happen next, and are they all going to make it out? Because at this point, any one of them could have been taken out.
Yep.
Realistically.
Yep.
But it's an absolutely awesome scene, awesome sequence. And there's only in terms of like action movies, I do regard Winter Soldier as an action movie. It's up there with some of the best I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just name one as a comparison. The entire casino sequence from The Fifth Element. For those of you that have seen that movie, the sequence is right there next to it.
Yep. All right, Jacob.
Oh, Ambassador and Riot pretty much said all I could say. I will add that the editing is perfection in this. This is something that I kind of get mad about modern films, whether it be Marvel or some other ones. The editing is not really that great. I just watched a comedy and I was like, who edited this? This doesn't make any sense to me. But you could just see the attention to detail. But a little bit of gossip, Sebastian Stan, one of the reasons he came back was he was actually originally in Once Upon a Time. He was the Mad Hatter. And at the time, he was dating the actress who played the main character in Once Upon a Time. They broke up right around the time that Winter Soldier, they had casted in Winter Soldier. and everyone was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, how is he going to struggle being in or juggle being in Marvel and in Once Upon a Time?" And remember, they're both Disney productions at this point. Once Upon a Time was on ABC. Well, it turned out because he broke up with the main actress from Once Upon a Time, he just didn't come back. They reference him a lot. He just kind of disappears. Apparently, they were going to do a storyline where the main character in Once Upon a Time and the Mad Hatter were going to get together. They ended up not doing that because a bunch of weird Tumblr people liked her with Hook. But that was why he signed on, because he signed a huge Marvel contract after he was in Winter Soldier. It was something ridiculous. It was like 7 films or something like that he was supposed to be in. So, but yeah, a lot of people think that he did that because to get out of Once Upon a Time. So yeah, it was a big. I don't know how Falcon and Winter Soldier coordinates with this, but yeah, he signed like a huge renewal contract with Marvel right after Winter Soldier wrapped up filming. So that's why a lot of people thought he was going to be Captain America, not Falcon, was because of his big contract.
7 movies. I'm only aware of him in 3 of them right now. So yeah, because Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, plus Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I don't know how that one coordinates. That they might have renegotiated when he was in that, because that's technically a TV show. So I don't think his contract included TV appearances, so they might have renegotiated it.
Yeah, but also one of the things I do like about the scene right after Falcon kicks the Winter Soldier, he recovers and he hesitates a little bit. He's like, "This guy knows what the fuck it." Boom. And he's about to shoot him, except that Scarlett Johansson, or Widow, saves their ass with a well-placed grenade shot. And then that's when Strike shows up, and I love how the one guy that got his ass kicked on the elevator puts the barrel right to Cap's head and is about to execute him, except that Rumlow notices the helicopters. And he's like, "Not here." So it's like, "Put your weapon down. Not here. Not here." And the guy hesitates at first because he's like, "I really want to shoot this fucker." You know? So then we get the pity party in the back end. And then Hill turns out to be one of them and ends up saving their lives. And we get a director cameo. The Doctor is, I believe, Joe Russo, who later on plays a gay guy in Endgame.
Is it the same character? That'd be interesting.
I think it is, but I'm not sure.
No.
You never can tell. So we then see that Fury's alive. Holy shit. Punctured lung, ruptured spleen, lacerated spinal column, one hell of a headache, perforated liver. How the fuck are you still alive? Basically, diagnosis, still alive, but fucking barely. And your heart stopped beating, or they cut you open, your heart stopped. Tetrodotoxin B. Banner developed it for stress, but it didn't work out for him, but we found a use for it. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, what the fuck would it take to kill Nick Fury, you know? Besides a snap of the finger with an Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, that was a really good reveal. It's like, about damn time, you know? So what did you all think of the Nick Fury back from the dead? We'll start with Riot.
Well, I was happy he wasn't dead. So, what a way to go out, though. But yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, he's coming back, and then he's gonna help. He's gonna help everybody take down Hydra. So, and that was like really cool with like the helicopter coming in. It's like he's like walking out like a baller. Oh yeah, I was definitely okay with Nick Fury not being dead. So because I didn't want him to be dead like that, I guess. So
yeah, All right. And Ambassador.
And that's, I know I keep using this word, but I think it's a perfectly serviceable word. Another intense scene where we get the big reveal. Nicholas J. Fury is still alive and well and ready to kick some Hydra ass.
Yep.
And one other thing I will remark on is the conversation that takes place between Cap and Fury, and you've got two men who are patriots that love their country. They just go about serving it in different ways. And I love the line that Fury says to Cap. We just try to live in the world that we want it to be, not the way it is, or something to that effect.
Shield takes the world
Yeah.
as it is, not how we
It
want it
is
to
not
be.
how we want it to be. Yeah. And that is very true. We take the world as it is, not as the way we would wish it to be, the way a agency of any kind would want it to be, but how we want it to be. And that's ultimately the problem or anything with this whole Project Insight. It's taking away people's ability to govern their lives the way they deem is appropriate.
Yep.
So, and of course, Jackson, in that scene and the scene coming up and everything when they're back at Shield headquarters, he comes in guns blazing. He has no F's left to give, and he ain't even gonna try. So, but those are my thoughts.
Jacob?
Like I said, and maybe I was just being naive, but I went into this not knowing Nick Fury was coming back. So I was like, yes, he's still alive, and never realizing that would become a pattern in the MCU. But I was really excited for it. I love Samuel L. Jackson as an actor, and seeing Nick Fury come back, and then later he does the same. Now do you see why I have trust issues? Such a great iconic moment. But yeah, I was thoroughly invested in this, and like I said, I went into this. Everyone talks about the MCU formula, but this really was made. All the movies, this movie and preceding, were before that happened. So I think this one is. I was not expecting Nick Fury to come back, and that only added more to the thrill of seeing it in the theaters.
Yeah. And one of the things I do like is Shield takes the world as it is, not how we'd like it to be. Well, Cap basically turns that right around on him in that scene because he's like, we're not just taking down Hydra, we're taking down Shield. Because Fury wants to salvage it. No, Hydra grew right under your nose and nobody noticed. And he's like, well, why do you think we're meeting in this cave? I noticed. Well, I'm sorry. This is how it is. This is the world that is, essentially. So, yeah, It all goes. Sorry. It's rotten to the core as far as I'm concerned.
And he's not wrong.
You're right. He isn't. And so then we get to the Winter Soldier's background where he gets his mind wiped. But we see in the background that Zola found him, and they found him in the snow. They dragged him away. They cut off his arm and gave him a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up putting him on ice and whatnot. And he ends up freaking out a little bit. So everybody trains their guns on him. And we get even more of a stupid mosquito. Sorry. We get Pierce in there, and he's like, you shaped the century. The world's on the tipping point between order and chaos. Tomorrow we're going to give it a push. But the Winter Soldier is like, the man on the bridge, who was he? I knew him. And he's unwilling to comply further. But I knew him. So they want to wipe him or put him back into cryo freeze. He's no longer useful. He's been out of cryo freeze too long. Well, then wipe him and start over. That's gotta be painful, man. I mean, they used 2 straps on his human arm and 1 strap on his metal arm, and it's like, you know, I would kind of flip it. 2 straps on the metal, 1 strap up on the human. Just my preference, because, well, that metal arm does happen to be very strong.
Mhm.
And then they put the shockers right on his freaking head, and they just shock the shit out of him. They basically lobotomize him with electricity. And it works, apparently, because, well, he's back to being stoic assassin.
Mhm.
Now, let's see here. The plan to take down S.H.I.E.L.D., they got to switch out 3 control blades on the helicarrier, targeting blades, or on the helicarriers in order to stop them from being able to do the mass targeting. And we get the infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D., the World Security Council arrives, and also Cap needs to steal a uniform. And he steals his old one with the cameo from Stan Lee, who is now fired from the Smithsonian because, well, somebody walked right in and stole Captain America's uniform.
Yep.
Poor Stan.
I am so fired.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, man. I'm so fired. I love that. Rest in peace to Stan, man. Stan the Man Lee.
Yes, he is. Yep.
And then we see him back in his World War II outfit.
Yep.
Which is absolutely awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives the coolest speech of his life, which I love. Falcon. So, did you make that up, or did you write all that down first? Or did you just make it up on the fly? Because it's like, I know that it was written, and obviously he's reading from lines, but it does make you wonder: did he write it down first, or did he just go out on the fly? Most likely, Steve did it on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls out frickin' Pierce. And I love Pierce's reaction. Everybody looks at Pierce. He's like, oh, fuck it. I'm outed. Son of a bitch. And, well, he tries giving his pitch to the World Security Council, and the World Security Council doesn't want to go along with it. And that's when Black Widow saves the day. She's like, I'm sorry. Did I step on your moment? Because it's like, well, damn, World Security Council girl knows how to handle herself. And I'm thinking to myself, well, who the heck is this? You know?
New character at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like, well, damn, how does she know how to do all this? But, yeah, so then we get the helicarriers are launched. I also like how the guy that won't launch the helicarriers turns up in Age of Ultron. He's like, I won't launch those ships, captain's orders. And Agent 13, when she's shooting at Rumlow, every bullet that hits the glass is where Rumlow is. So she's insanely accurate, except that she should learn to lead her targets. Because if she would have leaded her target, Rumlow would be dead. I actually agree with you guys. This was well put together. Yeah. And so we get the main thing with all of the bad guys fighting Cap and Falcon using his wings, dodging the guns, and the helicarriers are launched because Rumlow launched them. What did you guys think of the climax before we get to the fight between Bucky and Cap? We'll start with Ambassador.
It's an interesting dynamic with this particular finale, because you're not dealing with any superpowered beings except for Cap, essentially,
And Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. And everybody else is just a normal human with a gun, and yet there is suspense, there is stakes, there's tension, and you're just dealing with spy on spy. It's literally spy versus spy.
Yep.
It's the few, or okay, more than a few. It's the Shield agents that are still part of Shield and everything, and everybody else that's part of Hydra. The thing that was kind of sucky and everything, although I understand why it happened, was when you've got those Shield agents that are saying we're the only air support that Cap's got, and the Winter Soldier comes in and essentially just takes them all out. I'm like, geez, that's anticlimactic as all hell. And he just one mans it, and
Yep.
you're like, yeah, this guy can do it. This guy could absolutely positively do it. The whole fight inside the Shield headquarters, or Hydra headquarters, might as well call it what it is.
Yep.
Is incredibly intense. You know, you've got Sam and everything whizzing around the helicarriers. He eventually gets taken down, and he gets into the headquarters himself, and he has to take on Rumlow. And I'm like, oh, come on, Sam, kick this smarmy asshole's ass.
I mean, I absolutely love that, because he's like, because Rumlow's given the full fucking Nazi speech, man.
Like, yeah, you might as well have him. You might as well have him say the Nazi catchphrase. I won't say here because I don't want us to get you struck or anything, but we all know what it is.
But I love it's like Sam's like, man, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Bill Bittler.
No, it starts with a Z and an H.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So I won't say
Burger Bitson.
Anyway. All right, wise ass. Anyway, one more comment, and then somebody else can go on. I have to admit, I do feel bad for all those Shield agents who have worked there all this time, and they had no idea what exactly. They really did not know what was going on.
Yep.
Inside the organization that they have been a part of for however many years. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden Cap says, guys, this place is as dirty a cesspool as it comes. What are you going to do about it?
Yep.
And everybody stands too. They're like, yeah. Captain Rogers says, go, we go. And even that one agent and everything, the computer guy, he's like, you're gonna have to shoot me or kill me, but he's like, I'm not doing it.
Captain's order.
That takes guts.
Yeah.
That takes absolute guts. So.
Well, he's also scared shitless. But also, one of the things you can notice is which people were Hydra agents down in that control room, because once guns start coming out, you can't tell who's who until you do a little bit of digging. The people with the gold shield on their hats are Hydra. Mm-hmm. And that's how you tell the difference. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Jake, what did you think of the climax leading up to the fight between Bucky and Cap?
I loved it. Built up so much suspense. I think it leads into that scene very well. It just goes to show you what a leader Captain America is and how integral he is as part of this whole Avengers franchise. Going back to the scene with Widow at the World Security Council, I know later they introduced the United Nations, but I always felt that the World Security Council was kind of a stand-in for the UN Security Council. I mean, obviously, World Security Council, United Nations Security Council. Yeah. So I always thought that was a neat little thing that the Russo brothers threw in there. And yeah, big impact. And I'm more excited about the next scene, I'm being honest, but yeah, it was I thought it was a really great lead up to that. It was really good bringing in the climax.
Yeah. and Riot.
So, yeah, I was super confused with the World Council thing, and then the doing that stuff, and then the scenes leading up to the climax. Yeah, it was just good all around. Fun action. It's just like you're kind of like, oh my god, the final fight's coming up, that kind of a thing. So yeah, that's all I really got to say about it. To be honest, probably I like the climax a lot more. So.
Yeah. So then we get to Fury coming in, and that is actually pretty good. Where you see Robert Redford, he's like, all right, yeah. Fury's like, did you get my flowers? I'm like, dude, if looks could kill, you'd be dead right now, or at least half dead because he only has one eye. But also, Widow is dumping all of the secrets onto the net. And I do like how Pierce does try to stop her. He's like, if you do this, all your secrets are out. And she hesitates for the smallest moment. You see her hand stop at the board like this. She's typing, and then she goes back to it. And he's like, are you ready for the world to see you as you really are? Are you? And I love how she turns that right back on, because she's accepted that what she's doing is basically going to out her as one of the most prolific killers out there. But it's like, well, there you go. And when you see that him pull up his eye patch, if you want to stay ahead of me, Mr. Secretary, you got to keep both eyes open. And I'm thinking to myself, bad ass.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Ooh,
I like the scar. That looked
badass.
really cool.
I know. And you see the full damage to his eye, which no Flurkin did. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. But anyway. So the retinal scan works. And I like the look on Pierce's face, because he's like, son of a bitch, that worked. So we're going to cover the whole sequence of that. So when they're getting ready to seeing all the trending and whatnot, Pierce grabs his phone and triggers the pins on their lapels to burn holes through their chest, and Widow is armed, and she uses her own stinger to knock herself out, and that gives Fury the chance to shoot Pierce. Pierce's last words, "Hail Hydra." It's like, well, I'll give you credit for determination, man, and for loyalty. Damn. But then we get to the fight between Cap and Buck. And Cap doesn't want to do this fight. He doesn't want to do this fight. He's like, please don't make me do this. Well, too bad. Kick rocks, pal. Or tough rocks, pal. And we get a pretty good fight. And the Winter Soldier has learned from his previous engagement, even though his mind was wiped, that this guy is going to use his shield a lot. So I have two guns. One gun to shoot at the shield, one gun to shoot around the shield. And Cap gets shot up in this. He gets shot in the ass. He gets shot in the back. He gets shot in the hip. He gets shot everywhere. And it's like, I wish there was the line, oh my God, you shot me in the ass. Just would have been perfect. But we didn't get it. And then after he gets the last blade in, and the helicarriers start blowing the shit out of each other, and and Bucky is stuck, and he helps him out. You know me. No, I don't. Bucky, you've known me your whole life. Your name is James Buchanan Barnes. Shut up. And he starts beating on him. And he freaking just takes a beating, man. His face is all swollen up. Captain America swollen up, you know? And I didn't cover this, but there was a flashback where Bucky and little Steve, the skinny kid from Brooklyn, is coming back from burying Steve's mother. And Bucky tells him, you don't have to go through this alone, because I'm with you till the end of the line, pal. And that's what he says to Bucky. And he's like, You're my friend. You're my mission. And he just uses his metal hand to beat Cap's face into frickin' chow or puppy chow. And he's like, well, then finish it because I'm with you till the end of the line. And as you're looking at the shocked and horrified face of Bucky, there's the thing in back of him coming down like this. And it's like, oh, shit, you know? And it ends up that Bucky saves his life. It's not Bucky, though. It's still Winter Soldier. He doesn't have his memories. He's having a little bit of a crash through with his memories, a little bit here and there, because of the way that he's reacting to Steve when Steve's trying to get his attention. And he's telling him, shut up, no, I don't, and yada, yada. So he's willing to go on a little faith and disappear so he could find out more about what he is. Because we then get the ending after Steve is saved. We get Agent 13 is at the CIA shooting frickin' better than Bullseye. We have Maria Hill at Stark Industries Human Resources. We have Senator Stearns, Hail Hydra Senator, getting arrested. And we get Black Widow mouthing off on Capitol Hill while Nick Fury burns a stash house after putting aside his eye patch. And I love that. You're not going to put me in a prison. You're not going to put any of us in a prison. You want to know why? Because you need us. And it's like, I don't think you completely understand how that works, girl. They could easily fucking arrest you because honestly, you're just human. They don't need you. So what did you all think of the climax, Bucky versus Cap, and the ending up to that point, or the last bits of end before we get to the end credit scenes? We'll start with Ambassador before he falls asleep.
Ha ha ha.
Fight between Cap and Bucky.
This fight between Cap and Bucky is... It's hard to watch because these are two guys that have grown up together. They have been friends their entire lives, and it's hard for Cap. He doesn't want to hurt Bucky, but to do what he has to do here, you know, I was watching this last night, and I was actually, as I've watched this a fair amount of times, but it's been a while since I have watched this. And I'm like, he keeps getting shot, and I'm like, damn it, bud, quit being a dick. Let the man finish his job. And I'm like, come on, Cap, get up, put that damn blade in there and finish this thing.
Yep.
And it's, you know, he finally gets him pinned. He finally gets him incapacitated. But then he helps him get out from underneath that debris that he's pinned under. And it's absolutely gut-wrenching because there's still nothing of Bucky in there. And it's just hard to see Steve and Bucky be like this. So, but you know, in the end, he drags them out of the river and he leaves them behind. And of course, we get that. I'll go ahead and I'll discuss it here. We get the mid-credit scene where Bucky goes to the Smithsonian and he goes to the Captain America exhibit and he finally discovers or rediscovers who he actually was. Yeah, rediscovers himself. And the music for that mid-credit scene was incredibly intense. You didn't expect that, but honestly, I liked anything the fact that they use that type of music or anything for that scene. So those are my thoughts.
All right, Jake.
Excellent ending to an excellent movie. I thought it wrapped up really well. Like Ambassador said, the emotional stakes in this movie were fantastic. And I know, like, a lot of times, film Twitter likes to criticize Marvel films for not having enough stakes. And I'm always I'm always like, not all of them have to be someone is dying. Sometimes it could just be someone needs to be saved, and that's what I get from this scene, especially when he and Bucky are fighting, and he's letting Bucky beat him, and he's like, you just need to finish it. And I think that was like I said, this movie is a turning point for Captain America's character, and I'm glad we got to see this turning point for Winter Soldier as well. So those are my thoughts. And I agree with Ambassador, the mid-credit scene where Bucky gets to see himself in the Smithsonian. I don't think there was at least in the theater I went to, I heard a lot of but sincere ones, like as they were happy that he was getting to discover himself.
All right, Riot.
No, it was perfectly dramatic, and it hit all the right notes. And I love that payoff, like from like the first Captain America movie. It was like, it's just like, I'm with you till the end. I'm with you till the end of the line. And so like, he's just like, I'm not gonna do this. And if you save me, okay. If you don't, then okay. So I love those kinds of scenes where it's just like, okay, the hero's like putting to test whether or not, like, it's just like, are you still in there somewhere? Like, I love those kinds of scenes. I'm just like, oh, and I was just glued to the screen the entire time, like seeing like Cap fall out dramatically from the rest of the remainder of what is the helicarrier. So that was like a really, really cool sequence on that part.
Yep. Alrighty, and so then we get to the end where Fury's at his own grave, and Widow delivers a file to Steve based on the Winter Soldier, and then we get the credits where we get the mid-credit scene with Baron von Strucker, or Herr Strucker, who says a beautiful line, which I've been waiting this entire stream to actually bring this up. Hydra, shield, two sides of a coin that is no longer currency. I got this puppy a few months back, which the shipping and handling cost more than the item itself. But,
that makes sense. Collectibles.
It came from China, but I wanted it, so yeah. And we see that Hydra has Loki's scepter, and then we see the twins. Who are in their cells, where you see Quicksilver or Pietro, because they couldn't use the mutant names. We see Pietro's running around, bumping into things, and we see Wanda playing with the blocks, where she's almost like childlike with those blocks until she goes with the blocks, and you see the blocks shift and deform when she crashes them together. It's like, oh shit, this woman is dangerous, man. And I really do love that scene, because it's like, it just shows you just how it's like, oh fuck, you got the Maximoff twins coming. These two are so fucking dangerous. Pitting them against the Avengers is going to be interesting. However, before we get to Ultron, we got one more movie to go. And then, so what did you guys think of the Maximoff reveal as well as the Scepter reveal? We'll start with Riot this time.
Well, at that point, I did actually know who Marvel characters were. And the X-Men is like my favorite. And I was like, oh my god, yes! Let's go! Let's go! Yeah. So, I definitely loved it. I think it was, Wolverine, the X-Men. I loved her in that. And like Quicksilver too. Like, I love the whole Magneto family in there. I just, we could have gotten their younger sibling, but oh well. I'll take what we got. So
I do believe that, or what's the younger sibling's name? I forget the name.
Polaris.
Yeah.
Polaris, yeah.
She's actually Magneto's favorite.
She has green hair.
Yes,
Yeah.
she has green hair. Yeah.
She has green hair, green costume, kind of looks like Scarlet Witch, but green, but yeah.
Cool.
Like, okay, this is just completely going off topic, but I love how, like, I believe it was Wolverine the X-Men, where it's like, where it's just like a Gambit tries to, like, like get a boat from her to, like, leave the island, but then he, like, ditches her, and so it's just like, and then I think he says, like, something like, and then she, like, basically pulls up. It's like she basically just, like, crushes the boat, almost leaving him in the water. So it's like, so he's like, she's got her daddy's power and their sister's temper.
Nice. All right. So, Ambassador, what did you think of the Maximoff reveal and the scepter?
It builds on what we're going to see in Age of Ultron in a couple weeks, and when I saw it at the time, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is where they're going." So, yeah, it's nothing remarkable. It's a nice stinger scene. It's a nice end credit scene. So, that's my thoughts.
All right. And Jacob?
I got incredibly excited. I do remember Fox, because at the time, Disney didn't own Fox. They owned the rights to the X-Men. They actually threatened to sue Marvel because they were planning on introducing Wanda and Pietro in the X-Men universe. And so they worked out a compromise, because it's true that they started out in the X-Men comics because they were members of Magneto's, at the time it was the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and but they defected to the Avengers. A lot of people don't know this. Magneto became an Avengers villain for a long time, for several years, and they actually defected to the Avengers. And Marvel considered them Avengers, and so Marvel Studios being owned by Disney, so they reached a compromise where Wanda could be in the MCU and Pietro could be in the X-Men universe. Of course, now that's all a moot point. But I was really excited because my first exposure to Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch was in the 90s X-Men animated series. They did a whole awesome arc where they introduced them as Magneto's children and whatnot. It was really cool, and they imply that it was they implied that it was also connected. That was actually, I think, the first time they implied that it was connected to the Iron Man the animated series. But that was the first Marvel multiverse, or MCU, I should say. And but anyway, I really Elizabeth Olsen is one of my all-time favorite actresses. I like her apart from the MCU. So when I heard that she had been chosen to play Wanda, I was very excited. Fun fact: Wanda actually has a cameo in Days of Future Past, but she's not Pietro's twin. She's just his little sister. It's a very small blink and you'll miss it scene, but it was confirmed. But that it was confirmed because everyone thought it was Polaris, but it was confirmed that it was Wanda. It was supposed to be a cameo.
The road cut changes that.
The road cut, yes, you are correct. The road cut does change that.
The road cut makes the little kid Polaris because Wanda is, or he says go, or the mom says go upstairs and play with your sister.
Mm-hmm.
To the little girl. So that is the end of Winter Soldier, folks, and we got this coming up next week. And the purple is to reminisce the Infinity Stone coming up in that one, the Power Stone.
Yep, that's cool. I kind of like that. And it kind of looks like like when was Quill taken? Like, was it like the 80s? I think
80s, yeah.
Yeah, 80s. Like, yeah, it looks like kind of like 80s-esque. So I really like.
Well, this is cursive writing. I'm surprised you can even read it.
I learned cursive writing very much.
You're the last generation that did. Kids nowadays, they stopped cursive writing, which sucks. But
yeah, they did.
We got Volume 1 coming up. Guardians of the Galaxy, folks. Bunch of a-holes. Gonna save the universe. Standing up like a bunch of jackasses. And a tree and a raccoon are best friends. So, yeah.
Jackass 1. Okay.
So, how would you guys rate Winter
Winter
Soldier?
Soldier.
Yep, we'll start with Ambassador.
Honestly, this is one of those. I'll keep it brief. This is one of the few that I put. It's a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
As a Marvel movie, it's a 10. As I will call it, categorize it, a spy thriller, it is a 10. And as a political thriller, it's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. And then Jacob.
I totally agree. 10 across the boards. Even whenever I went to see it, I loved it. I had a great time in theater. Every time I rewatch it, I have a blast with it. It's a lot of fun. Chris Evans truly stands out as Captain America, and the Russo brothers. This film created a beautiful relationship between Marvel Studios and the Russo brothers. Hopefully, it'll be revisited soon. Again, if rumors are correct. But whatever the case may be, this movie, solid 10 for me. Loved it. Love all the acting, and I love the tease for Age of Ultron.
All right. All right, Kitty.
I'll definitely give this movie a 9 out of 10. This was very enjoyable. So,
All right.
you know, and I do like dumb, exciting car chases. So, yeah, this movie was great. There's nothing more you can say that I haven't already said on that. So,
All right. Me, I do my 3 tiers: objective, subjective, and moviegoer. Objectively, this movie is a 9 out of 10. There is a few things that are like, really? I mean, even suspense of disbelief can make that very hard to believe in, especially when you're taking 2 or 3 armor-piercing slugs through your back and living. That is pretty hard to believe in, folks. However, this movie is so freaking well put together. Great direction, great score, great sound, great set pieces, great story, great acting. You have great across the board. So, yeah, 9 out of 10 objectively. Subjectively, 10 out of 10. It is one of the best or outside of Phase 1, it is the best MCU film. The Russo brothers did it damn near perfectly. Moviegoer, this movie keeps your ass in the seat. It's entertaining as hell all the way through. Even the small lulls in the pacing.
mm-hmm.
So, yes, definitely a 10 out of 10. So, before we go, we'll give everybody a chance to plug their content, starting with Riot. Anything you'd like to plug?
Hello, my name's Riot Kitty. I'm a writing, design, art, and occasional AMV channel. So, I just uploaded a new video for like my Long Dead series covering the Ruby Shonen Jump manga. So, if you want to check that out, you can definitely do so on my channel. So, I hope you guys check it out. And thank you very much. I'll take it over to Ambassador or Jake.
Ambassador.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I am the ambassador. You know my channel, the Ambassadorial Wing. We talk cinema, whether it's modern retro or ultra retro. I'm just did a stream the other night talking about the disaster movies of the 1990s. Go check that one out. That one's on Deep Impact and Armageddon. Next one up is going to be Twister, and then we'll wrap up that series with Dante's Peak and Volcano. And I do want to say very briefly, I just saw Across the Spider-Verse this afternoon, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great animation, great story, great everything. And I'm probably going to upload a review on that sucker because it lived up to the billing, as the old saying goes. So, and that's my plug.
All right, Jacob.
You can head over to my YouTube channel. It's at Studio Jake. I do news, reviews, and talk about rumors every now and again. I try to avoid rumors unless they're fun. I always report on the fun rumors. But you can also check out my website, studiojakemedia.com, where I have a ton of reviews on anime, television, film. I just did Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And also my locals page, studiojakemedia.locals.com, where I just released my horror short story board. So definitely head over there and check it out.
I just recently saw Fury of the Gods. I'm not to review. I just wanted to check it out of sheer curiosity. Honestly, I thought it was okay. There was definitely some scenes in there that it's like, what the hell am I getting into here? But other than that, or other than a few cringe scenes, I thought it was pretty okay for DC and whatnot. But yeah, folks, you know my channel. We're here. And come tomorrow, I should be getting some more content out for you. I'm going to do my best to get content out every day. I may fail, but I'll still try because I'm helping my mom. She recently had eye surgery, so I'm helping her out, making sure she doesn't overexert herself and other stuff. You can catch me on Tuesday afternoon where I do my mystery review. Every movie in June are sword-based. Last week was 300. This week is the same hint of embellished history and main characters die. However, another hint would be
Gladiator.
No.
Darn it.
Good guess, though. I didn't do Gladiator this month because it would be too obvious.
Oh.
Also, because there would be that would make 3 films with the same hints. But there are so many hints with embellished history and main characters dying. But this one, don't reveal it if I make it too obvious, takes place in the Far East or West or wherever you are in the world.
East. No.
So yeah, it's also very important to that culture, that story or the storyline. So yes, those are the hints. I haven't made those hints public, but I'm pretty sure you guys can guess if you know it. And stay tuned on Wednesdays or later on Tuesday night around 9 is when I'm going to be part of the Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. I will be stepping out because I got to go pick up my stepbrother at work. Other than that, Wednesday I will be on Mara Jade's channel, Jade Shadow, for the 1s and 2s, which I'll probably step out on that one as well because the same reason. This week is very busy for me, folks, in personal stuff. So,
Okay.
Thank you all for being in the chat. Skyhound, Riker, Steve Kenobi, and Christian Freights, and Vanya, and anybody else in the chat at the time. Thank you so much for coming on in. You guys are freaking awesome, as well as Stephen Walton. Thank you for coming in. Y'all have an amazing and beautiful night. God bless you all. Make sure you sub to all these awesome YouTubers on the panel, including CJ, who is not with us right now. But thank you so much, folks. Always remember, have a good night and stay humble.
Bye. Good night.